4. Gather around, freaks. It's Thursday the 13th. Welcome back to my twisted game as we talk less about plot and more about what weapon kills who. The Grimoire pages turn to chapter 26, and a little lake water and a scapula bone fall out. So gather around the internet campfire and try to reassemble a hockey mask, because it's time for, hey, did you see this one?
The night is dark, and the air is still. The moon casts an eerie glow over the internet, where a group of curious individuals have gathered to discuss their shared fascination for the macabre. They hold in their hands a book with a foreboding presence, bound in flesh and inked in blood, a tome of horror that only opens its pages when a sacrifice is made. Within its ancient passages lie the secrets of the most infamous murderers and monsters of all time. Join us. But beware, for once this book is open, there's no telling what horrors may be unleashed. This is the Grimoire of Familiar Killers.
I don't get it. They should be here by now.
What are you gonna do?
Hey, I did it finally. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
And welcome to Hey, Did You See This One? The weekly roundtable reaction discussion podcast where we just have to ask the same question every week. And that's, hey, did you see this one? This is a show where we completely take a film and we pull it apart and we leave no stone unturned. And we make sure that by the end of the show, we have basically just been talking for 4 straight hours, as we're wont to do lately. However, this movie isn't really built for that. And I say that now, but we'll see what happens. This is, of course, episode...
Wow.
What?
Nice.
Nothing.
I tried to cough away from the microphone.
You'd say you cough directly in my ear. That's cool. The Grimoire, of course, is still open. It's spewing its blood and guts all over the place. This week, we're talking about Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood from 1988. This is episode 175. 175 glorious episode.
Enough of that. We did that too much yesterday.
It was a lot.
It was too much.
It's also season 3, episode 26 if we're playing at home. So I've sort of introed the show. We're all tired. We watched this film together last night, which caused us all to stay up way too late at Steve's place. We watched The Mask and part of The Mask and part of the New Nightmare, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Or next week's movie.
Next week, yeah.
And if we seem a little burnt out, that's why. Or if we seem a little loopy, that's why. We're going to do our best to get through this in a timely fashion as well.
I think it's going to go really well. I have full
Yeah.
faith. Full faith.
I'm gonna
Well-
yawn a lot. I apologize in advance.
Yawning and coughing. First and foremost,
I got
just
something in
wanna-
my eye.
That was me all day today, dude. Ugh. Struggle.
I should have saved this for the first time this happens, but I can't believe we didn't say this a single time last night.
We're not quick enough.
Okay. Speaking of our guests, I'd like to welcome back to the show star of stage and screen, and the 10th time. Yep, that's what it is. The 10th time on the show, joining the 10 Timers Club. We actually have that now that we have 3 people that have joined it. Please welcome back to the show, Cass Hodgins. Cass Hodgins, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course, we appreciate every time you come on, and I just want to take this. It's looping.
An encore for
Hello.
me? Thank
Yes.
you.
Standing O. I'd like to thank you. We were just talking about this on the pre-show a little bit, but like you've been on the show 10 times now. You're the only person that's even come close to that. It's you, Tim Covey, who's in the chat right now, who wanted to say that, oh, it's such a great intro. Thanks. He also said this magic. But and Alex Gow. So, it's rarefied air. Welcome to the 10 Timers Club. We're gonna have to make a shirt for that, or smoking jacket like on SNL.
I like that.
No, what do you think? What do you think we should give our 10 Timers Club?
Steven,
Wait
can
till
you
they
start investing in that right now? If that would
yeah.
be great.
We should get like a headband, like a solid snake headband that has a number 10 on it.
It's a 10 on it.
Yeah.
Poorly scrawled.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
regular handwriting. That's what I call
Yes,
it.
and
Scrawl. Can you read my scrawl?
you just scroll it on there like a scroll.
Just like full doctor's
well,
note.
Yeah. I always get embarrassed when we're playing D&D and I look at Cass's notebook and it's like the most beautiful handwriting you've ever seen. And then I look at mine and I'm just like, I just drew a bunch of like wieners and stuff in my notebook.
I have seen that. No, my handwriting is only good when I focus on it, and then the other half of the time is just like nonsense scribbles. So
yeah.
what?
I have both
What is that,
good-
Jason?
good and bad handwriting as
You
well.
wrote it with your mouth. You put a pen in your mouth.
I was trying to write it's
That's a
Thursday the
skill.
13th, but it looks like it's birthday the 15th. So
Ah, very merry on birthday to you, sir.
yes. Okay. Listen, a lot of times we like to do this the synopsis at the top of the show, and a weird skull made of stone usually flies through the podcast to ask us about that. Is that man or thing?
Oh shit. It's not
Time for a synopsis, bitch.
Oh my god, synopsis by Freddie.
Wow.
I forgot he made that for us.
It was very kind of him, honestly, like to
He
take
made it
time
in
out
our
of his day and
All right. Who wants to do it? Who wants to do a brief synopsis of this film?
I might
will.
have it. I wrote
Yeah.
down something. I don't know if it's useful.
Yeah,
for
Tina's mom, why don't you tell us about this movie?
Okay. I wrote this down 2 seconds before I came on because I was like, oh God, I need something. So it's going to be good. Okay. Set 7 years after the events of the previous film where Jason was drowned. Again in Crystal Lake? Maybe? We follow the story of a psychokinetic teenage girl named Tina who unwittingly releases Jason from his tomb at the bottom of Crystal Lake when she oopsies killed her dad by collapsing a bridge with her mind, allowing him to go on another killing spree in the area. No one is safe, not even in the comfort of their own sleeping bag. That is all.
I would say that is perfectly accurate for this film. To add to that synopsis, this one is very unique in that it has like this crazy plot line that you mentioned, but the plot line plays second fiddle to. I think, Steve, you were saying when this movie was being made, they used like an algorithm to find out the
I
perfect
think they
amount of
figured out
time
an
between
equation,
kills.
yeah, where they're like,
Yeah.
we've got to fill an hour and 28 minutes, and there has to be a kill at least every 3 to 7 minutes. And so
Just
like,
use math.
Yeah, there are moments in the movie where people are introduced specifically to die seconds later, and you're just like, who are these fucking guys in the woods? Oh, no, they're dead. Doesn't matter.
They're dead now.
Just to reach the quota, I think. And I don't even think that I'm making that up. I think that that is a real thing that they actually did. There are people who know a lot more about these horror movies than I do, but I'm pretty sure that this is when they've started to realize, like, oh, if we have this many kills spread throughout the movie at these intervals, the movie will automatically seem better. And I mean, they're not wrong, because I enjoyed this movie even though there's nothing happening in it. And it's got full of weird shit.
It was a jolly good time.
Yes. Yeah. We wanted to I don't really have a brief history. It's the same as every other chapter of the Grimoire for me, where I don't have a specific
either.
memory.
Can I share a brief history of my day today?
Sure. Hit the thing.
Brief history.
A brief history of my day. I just want to explain why I am dressed very professionally in a blanket sweater. I spent 8 hours under fluorescent lighting and then closed my eyes for about an hour when I got home. And so I'm in Delulu space, and I am also full Galaxy Bear. And that's where we're at today. So I just wanted to get that brief history of my day out of the way. This is why I am the way I am.
Maybe if we don't have a brief history for the movie going forward, a brief history of our day would be just fine. That was
just
great.
Throw it out there on my 10th episode.
My mic broke today, and I'm using my old one.
Oh no, not your good mic.
Not my good mic. I need to buy a new mic.
I microwaved leftover Five Guys fries, and they were terrible.
Oh.
It made my tummy hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that came and went. Let's let's do production talk, because I actually have some things to say about that.
Nice.
Okay.
All right. Quiet on set. Are we rolling? Okay, let's shoot this piece of shit.
Sound. Speed.
Action!
Okay. This film is very unique in its Friday the 13th-ness, because it's the first movie that Kane Hodder comes on to play Jason. He's kind of the most iconic Jason, I would say, because he does all of the appearances at conventions.
Yeah, there are other people that do it as well, but he's kind of the one that when you hear his name, you're like, oh, I know that he played Jason. But it's funny that people think that, and it's like, oh, but he didn't show up until the 7th Jason movie.
Yeah. It appears as though the director for this film his name is John Carl Bouchlier, and he is a special effects guy traditionally. He's done all kinds of different special effects movies, special effects in movies. When it comes to actually directing, he directed such films as, let me just fucking get, here we go.
I believe his last name is pronounced Beekler.
Beekler, not Bouchlier.
Whatever the fuck you said, yeah. You added a real fucking from the Champagne region of France on that name.
Yeah. I would say the most famous movie out of this list of movies he's directed would be Troll. The original Troll film.
Oh, not the new cartoon Trolls with all the musical stuff. Okay, that makes more sense. That checks out.
No, Troll.
I got
not
very
even Troll
confused.
2, the one that everybody knows, the first one that nobody's seen. We all know
And
Troll 2, right? Oh my god!
Oh my, and he's gonna eat me! Oh my, god!
We went to a screening of that, me and my friend Fiona and a couple others, and there was a trivia at the end, and we were doing really well. And in the middle of the trivia, I was like, "We're in second place! Oh my god!"
And then you just automatically won.
No, we lost. I got sad, but people
that's a pretty good name for an outfit. I also wanted to bring up that he directed Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College. I think
remember when the Ghoulies get an education?
The Ghoulies franchise were they were weird puppets that came out of the toilet. That's all I could ever tell, because I only saw the covers of the film at the
Ghoulies is something that I am foreign to. I've never actually touched the Ghoulies before.
Don't touch the ghoulies.
Don't
I don't
touch
think they like.
Rule number 1: don't touch.
Don't touch the ghoulies.
Don't touch the
I wonder-
ghoulies after midnight.
I wonder if it's like Critters and they're just another cash grab from the Gremlins craze of the 80s.
I mean, all of them. Like Jason is a cash grab. Like
True.
Jason is the result of aping on Halloween.
They're still fun though.
They are. They're great. They're wonderful. I
Wonderful.
love them.
So I wouldn't say there's too much else to really talk about this guy. He did a lot of it looks like C horror movies through the 90s.
I've seen him. There's a really good documentary about I think it's called Memoirs of Crystal Lake, I believe. It's it's like a really super in-depth long documentary, but I remember this guy, the director, Mr. Beekler, John Carl Beekler. Pretty funny. And I think he's one of like the normal directors, there's, I think the third one is when they had like a literal pornographer as the director.
The one with all the people and all the teens in the house.
That's every single one of them.
I was just gonna. Which
No,
one,
but-
Jason? Which one?
The teens in the house and they're all like really stereotypical. No, that doesn't really
Which
narrow it down
movie,
either.
Jason? Really narrow it down for me.
Right. But
5? I think it was the one before the last one.
5 is the one when they're in like a halfway house.
A halfway house one, yeah.
Okay, where they're not.
That was
actually
directed by yeah, because it looks different than any other movie we've done in the horror genre because you shot it like a porno almost.
Well, then there's the third one, which I think is actually directed by a pornographer.
A pornographer. I'm a pornographer.
Bail immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah, apparently he was a real slime ball and
creepo.
No,
Rubber hits harder.
I'm like, yeesh.
no
Sir,
thanks.
jail. To jail with you.
To jail with you. Well, this guy did work on. He did like special effects for Reanimator. He did a makeup department for Reanimator. So that's pretty notable.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a wild movie. If you haven't seen it,
it's
we
weird
should
as
do it on the
fuck.
show one
Good.
day. It's got
It's
some
not what I was expecting.
Yeah,
Another one of those movies that I saw on the shelf as a kid, and I was like, "That's got to be the worst."
I actually
forever.
the namesake of this show, the Grimoire of Familiar Killers. I had a bunch of drawings that I was doing a couple of years ago. Actually, they're in the these pictures, and I started doing one of Herbert West from Reanimator and Vincent Price, and they're both just being weird green creeps with green liquid. Never finished it though. Maybe I'll finish it one day and show everybody. Anyway,
I'd love to
that's
see
just
it.
A side note.
I'd love to see it. Cat Dead Details Later. I remember that from.
Yeah. What was I supposed to say? Cat Dead Details Later.
Right. So it was written by Daryl Haney, Manuel Fidelo, and Victor Miller. These names don't really stick out to me. Do you know anything? Was this written by previous writers? I mean, I remember last night you had sort of mused on whether or not this movie had the same cinematographer as another one potentially because it felt like something else. I don't know. I can't.
Oh, we were
remember.
talking about it kind of felt like a nightmare movie.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
The visual tone of it, especially near the end when they're running around in the old. I believe it's supposed to be the Jarvis house, but
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure.
The vibe I got.
But yeah, I looked.
It
into
didn't
the
explain a lot.
Yeah, I looked at the cinematographer, and he didn't work on a nightmare movie, as far as I can tell. So like maybe he was just looking at it, but he did direct Dreamscape, a movie that I watched very recently that is so weird, starring Dennis Quaid, and it's kind of like The Cell, and
Yeah.
But remember when I was talking to you about this, Jason, you and Cam, I was like, we need to do Dream Creep month. It's just a bunch of Freddy movies, but Dreamscape is very much in that vein. But yeah, he did the camera work for that.
I'd like to check that out. I also found an interesting fact, but it's from just like the Friday the 13th wiki. So I don't know how true this is, but I believe it. They actually wanted this movie to be Freddy versus Jason. And that's why her powers are like telekinesis, because that's kind of similar. They can just replace dream stuff with telekinesis stuff. So, and her like whole origin has a bit of like a dream like quality to it, and then like the ending with the bringing the dad back, and he just looks like he's been underwater for a few days.
Spoiler immediately.
Sorry.
Jeez, Jason.
Everybody's like, oh, okay. Well, that's what happens at the end.
It does sound crazy out of context, though, so they might forget by the end of this podcast when we
For
get
sure.
there. Do you have a Google machine in front of you, Jason?
I'm Googling.
What year did this come out, and what year was Carrie written by Stephen King?
This came out in 1988, and Carrie is. Do you guys have any guesses?
Carrie, I'm gonna say 1900s at some point.
Yeah, maybe 1800, like late 1800s.
No,
give or
that's too
take.
early, I think. I'm gonna say 1978.
Okay, cool. I'll go like earlier 70s.
Okay, well, you know, some of your parts are correct. It's 1976.
Okay.
There we go.
Interesting. I was just curious. There was just it felt like an
Yeah, she's got
homage
mine.
almost. Like there was some inspiration maybe taken from something else for her character.
She definitely has the same power set.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No crazy gallons of blood though. I
It
mean,
also
No.
reminded me of the Dream Warriors a little bit too. The Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warrior,
Mm.
who can go into dreams now on command.
That's just what I do every night.
all right, everybody,
just-
we're gonna sit in a circle and everybody fall asleep. Such a weird.
One person has to stay awake, and then they walk into frame every time. Like, you were supposed to be awake. It's
You
my
idiot.
favorite trope. Yeah.
I must have fallen asleep.
Other than that, for production, the music in this was very good. The score
Yeah.
was very well done. It didn't have any of the noticeable. There were songs playing on radios and cars and stuff, but I couldn't really make them out. Like normally they have a big title track that plays in the credits, and you hear once during the movie, like pretty audibly. But in this one, it didn't really. Oh, what? Oh, is he just making a joke? Was Carrie written in the 1600s?
Kingsley.
Yeah, that checks out. Yeah.
Yeah, don't fact check that. It's true. Yeah, so there was the musical element was pretty good, and also Walt Gorney, who plays Crazy Ralph in Friday the 13th 1 and 2, is the narrator at the beginning of the movie.
I could have sworn it was Steven.
Yeah,
I could have sworn it was Steven.
said
I was
that.
very, very convinced.
Cass turned over and said, I thought you were talking.
I was like right beside me, just like echoing through the speakers. I'm like, how did you do that? Crazy.
Jason Voorhees will rise again.
Good
I'm just
stuff.
looking
I
up-
did really like
just
the
looking up
music
my
in this,
other-
though. I feel like I haven't, to be fair, I said last time I was going to watch all of the Jason movies, and then I got busy with life and didn't do that. So this is the second one I've now seen. And just the music quality from the last one, obviously we had like some big like rock star moments for music that was given for the movie. But this movie specifically, a lot of that like kind of old movie tinny sound was really taken out of it. Like it felt full. And I really
very
like that. Like
80s.
actually, yeah, like it helped really like actually set the scene with how quick and crazy the pacing is of this movie. Like it kept me actually in, which is nice.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I said last night that it kind of is reminiscent of like that early 90s television music but like before they started going like full synth scores and everything like that. And I mean that in a good way. Like I'm not disparaging it. I'm saying that like it has that warm kind of like Murder She Wrote vibe or something, or like Star Trek or something,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I watched Chopping Mall this week on Steve's recommendation, and the synth
I've been telling him to watch
score
it forever.
for like a year or more, maybe since you've known me, maybe since you're like, oh, you kind of like horror now.
Yet? Yeah.
You bring it up a lot. Anyway, I finally watched it, and there's like an opening part in that movie that just has that people are just like acting kind of crazy, but that has nothing to do with the movie. It's just showing people acting weird in a mall. They're just doing like falling over and spilling.
You just got
drinks and
footage of
hot
me
dogs.
in real life walking through.
Yeah, just
the
bumbling
world.
at a mall.
Yeah, just a bunch
But
of
the
clips.
score that's over top of it, and the score throughout the movie, is the wackiest synth, but good at the same time. I
Yeah.
couldn't believe it. I thought that's what Steve wanted me to focus in on, but then he was like, "No, I just wanted you to see the butter line. Bring me more butter." Cut to the next
Which
scene.
is like right at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. The only other real fact that I have that I actually learned today, I didn't have enough time to fact check it when my friend told me this, but in my notes, this was actually written in Fangoria, if that's I can cite Fangoria, but the MPAA.
I had an illustration of Fangoria once.
Really?
Not to toot my own horn. Oh yeah.
You've been famous a while.
I don't know if I'd call it famous. I don't think anybody knew I drew it, but I did.
Was it a letter to the editor?
Yeah, it was like a Hustler entry or whatever. It was like porn story.
Penthouse letters? Yeah.
Nice.
No, it's
Not
just
that I know.
drawing of a
what that
druid.
is.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, and apparently, according to Fangoria and my friend Stratos, who is Jason and Michael Myers' favorite horror icons, this movie had 9 cuts. There's a version of this film that has the full frontal from underneath water
I
scene
believe that.
taken out.
I believe
But-
that. They had the footage. It was definitely there.
Right. But there's 9 versions of this 9 cuts of this film to tone down the violence. And all of the kills that we kept complaining about them cutting away from the actual viscera,
Mhm.
they made them all.
Aw,
So,
we should have watched
don't
that
know-
one. What were we
don't-
doing?
I think there's a version of the movie that has them. You can probably find production footage.
Like an unrated
Um,
version somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, or somebody might have compiled it on like YouTube or something. But he didn't tell me that until like 5 o'clock today, and then I was already like,
Yeah, it
honed
does
in
feel
on
like a neutered
plot
version
stuff.
of Jason Voorhees Kills.
Yeah.
And like there are moments where I'm like, oh yeah, like the sort of like the bitchy character that you're like, I can't wait for this fucker to die because she's so rude and mean and I hate her. And then she just has kind of, I mean, I like that she gets thrown across the room with an axe stuck in her, but like I wanted her to have a kind of a brutal death, you know? And like,
I wanted more.
yeah, and like the characters that do get the brutal deaths are like the ones that you don't really want to see going through too much devastation. Like what's her name? The one who's high all the time. And like some of the kills just I think at one point we looked at each other like that didn't even feel like a Jason kill. Like that felt like a Michael Myers kill or something.
Yeah, you just stab somebody with a butcher knife.
You're like, Jason, you could do better than that.
But
The guy is
every
standing in a pool of blood. Like use that to your advantage.
every kill was a different weapon for the most part, I think.
Yeah,
Which
he
was
kept going back to
interesting.
the shed and getting a new a new
New
tool.
implement.
At one point, we're like, "What is that? It looks like an ancient like Chinese battle weapon. Like, where did
Yeah.
you get this?"
I think it's called a fell, and it's probably used for taking down
Harvesting the ropes or
branches,
something. Oh, right. Like, okay, that
like high branches to like pull them down.
yeah, it
while
looks like a
cutting.
halberd. Yeah,
Halberd. That's the fucking word I was looking for last night.
I'm just
Sure.
disappointed they didn't use the green hose on the wall of the house.
I know
Like
they
that
show
would
it.
have been really fun.
The old household, old house hose.
Exactly. That every house has. I think I've
We were
been renting a very long time.
There's for those listening, there is this green hose that is maybe an arm's length of hose, and it's just
It's not
hanging
long.
on the wall, and we're all like, "What the fuck is that used for? It's not a regular hose. Why is it there?" And we just decided that old houses have what we call a house hose, and it's
Yeah.
just there.
Yeah.
Take a
It's
sip
when
off the
Chilling.
boomers are like, we used to drink from the hose. They're talking about
That's-
that.
that's
exact
it.
hose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been a
Okay.
really good shot of Jason just like drinking from the faucet of the hose.
cat or like a hamster.
I have an interesting fact. Also, I have a cited source for it from
source.
Cinefantastique. Sounds like a magazine from the 80s. It's from 1988. But this movie also, along the line of making it, was originally meant to be Jason versus Carrie. The telekinesis idea was born from a desire to pit Jason against a Carrie-like character. So that's what they did. That's not even like...
They nailed it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess they probably couldn't get the rights to Carrie, maybe, or like because like Stephen King is pretty renowned for having his connected universes and stuff. So maybe he was like, I don't want Jason Voorhees to exist in my universe.
the
Not
disgusting
in this one.
But
web
maybe
freak.
maybe he would love that. Maybe he would like as soon as Jason Voorhees enters the Carrie verse, he's like, well, that means that Jason Voorhees exists in the same world as The Shining. Like opens up so many crazy horror doors.
Yeah.
A big haunted house.
And then I have one last fact. According to Horror Hound, sounds like a website from 2017, The movie was rushed. It was greenlit and filmed in less than a year to beat Halloween 4 to theaters.
Oh, interesting.
Ooh.
That's interesting too. Maybe that's why
I
some of
haven't
the
seen
stuff
Halloween
felt-
4. Is that good?
Was that one of the good ones?
Which one is?
They kind of go like good, bad, good, bad,
yeah.
good, bad.
I think that was the last time Mark
was-
was on the show.
I was wondering if there was like a really like the competition brought the best out of everyone moment, you know?
Right. There was some good moments in the fourth Halloween movie, but the story in general doesn't really stick in my head, so I can't say that it's great. But this one has always stuck in my head for the Friday movies because to me it's one of the wildest ones.
It's the one where at the end he just takes like a million bullets.
Yeah, there's a good moment where he's like, they think there's a guy sitting in a rocking chair, but it's actually Michael Myers sitting in a rocking chair, and it's like pretty well shot. It's one of those shots that sticks in your head. And you're like, now that is the Home Alone of it all.
Yep.
Yeah, totally. The main part of this, usually I mention this, the box office was 19.2 million box office on a $2.8 million budget. We're gonna get a sequel.
I'm tidy some.
Do we know the inflation on that or no?
Find out what $28 million. 20 mil inflation calculator.
Nice. Just making you guys do math feels good.
I'm gonna say that it's like, why is it Kaspersky? Like, you sure?
Are you sure you want to do this? Are you absolutely sure?
You don't want to know. I don't think.
You don't want to see it. It's gonna make you feel bad about the price of eggs.
Yeah. Eggs were like 1 cent.
Actually, when I went to Shoppers Drug Mart yesterday, before you guys got there, they were marking everything down. So I think it's because they like removed all the American products as well.
Yeah,
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I also felt so bad. I felt so bad for the employees because I saw them doing this like every time I've gone in there in the last couple of weeks. They've been because like the prices are just going up and down and up and down. So every day they come to work and they're like, we have to do 1 million more price changes today.
God, that would suck.
I know.
Those poor people.
It was roughly 50 million, 53. $20 million is roughly 54 million now.
I have a feeling a lot of that money was spent on one of the last shots in the movie, and we'll get to it later. But I have a feeling that's where a lot of the budget went.
Headbutting a table with white powder all over it
is a fucking crazy ass explosion.
Mm-hmm.
And headbutting a table with white powder all over it.
Yeah, we've all been there.
I wanted,
you had to say it twice, Jason.
I wanted to say it again because I think it's a good line. Sorry. But yeah, I think we can actually just get to the body of the episode.
You guys talk about the body of the episode.
The body of the episode.
That's right. This is the kind of the main part of the podcast. I'm going to run down the various story beats. I have a feeling that incoherent nature of my note taking last night might lend itself to.
I'm glad you were taking notes because I was just riffing.
I wrote down some of your riffs, so I think we got it.
Yeah. If we get lost though, I do have it.
I mean, I think I'm funny. I don't know if I am though.
I said to
Cass
Cass at the beginning what we should do the next time the three of us get together and watch a film like that. Just record it as like
even
a commentary.
Just record the audio. Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
We don't need to film it. Yeah. That would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I have a directional mic that would pick us all up.
Yeah,
it would just be kind of weird to try and keep the audio from the movie. Anyway, we don't need to talk about it.
We all listen with headphones to the movie.
That's
like
true.
we're
Yeah,
in like one of those like silent dance raves. And then.
Yeah. Everybody bring your gaming headset. We'll connect all my Xbox controllers and you can just listen to the audio through that.
Nice.
That's perfect.
Solid planning.
That's actually blowing my mind that you can do that. That's cool.
Definitely.
Awesome. So we open with a narrated recap of Jason's Crystal Lake carnage.
Narrated by me, as we said.
Yeah, by Stephen Waters. Yeah.
Using clips from previous films, reminding us who Jason is. Imagine going to this movie and this is the first one you see. It would be fine.
Who is this guy? What's he about?
It would be fine. But 7 movies in, I feel like maybe you need a little bit of like, who is Jason? But also, it's like, you know who Jason is. It's been around for a decade at this point, almost.
Yeah,
I think it was more of a "how did we get here" moment, rather than a "who is this man?"
Like, it's vague enough that it leaves some unanswered questions, but at the same time, it's thorough enough that it gives you a catch up. If you've seen the movies, it is a good refresher, because we even watched the 6th one not that long ago, and I was still like, what happens again? I'm glad they showed me a chunk of the end, because I couldn't remember how Jason ended up in that lake.
Literally, both of us were like, "Oh, right, yeah, that makes sense."
Fire.
I just treat, even though these are like so old, I just, every time we watch one for the show, I just treat it like the new one just came out on streaming, like the way that they release shows now sometimes. Like part 1 and part 2, like the last season of Cobra Kai came out in 3 parts that had like 3-month chunks in between.
The last season of Love is Blind also came out in like 3 parts, and then they had the reunion 2 days later. So we all struggled.
Hi, Astro Boy.
Hi, Astro Boy. Welcome in.
I'm trying to remember the intro. I think the first line is I think the intro of the movie, like the old man voice, he's just like, "There's a legend round these parts." It's like, okay, cool, I'm in. Riveting. What's the legend, sir?
And since it's the crazy old man from the first 2 who basically does the same thing, it's like, you don't want to go down that road. I know that's Pet Sematary, but
get killed down in Crystal Lake. Now I want to go there more. Isn't there one where he's like holding an eyeball, or is that the 3rd one? No, that's the 3rd one, because he's like doing it to the camera, like Jason playing a trombone, and like all sorts of crazy things happen.
He gets killed in the 2nd one by like, he gets wrapped up in barbed wire from behind, but we're still not sure if Jason has done it or not, as I recall.
I think it was probably Jason.
Probably.
He's the murderer.
Probably.
He does have a track record, like kind of checks out.
So we get our recap. It does its job. It doesn't outstay its welcome as well. It's short enough that you're like, okay, now I'm in. And then we cut to a little girl named Tina
Shepherd,
who's listening to her parents screaming at each other, and her dad just wailing on her mom.
Yeah, not cool, man.
Not cool, but it's just everything that happens after this. You're just like, what the fuck?
I'm sorry I laughed, but at the same time, it was just so like, we haven't had a lot of domestic disputes in this series.
I think it's also just the acting. The acting really sold the, yes, you can laugh at this. Like it was choices were made.
And like the sound effects are just really like, it's like some Indiana Jones slaps.
Feels like I was watching like Robot Chicken for a second. And I was like, I think I can laugh at this.
I think it's all right.
Tina, also, I want to point this out right before we move on. Sorry. This is the closest that we're going to get to this in this, but I think it's worth noting. Here we go.
That's when they said the name of the movie in the movie.
Now,
Tina's mom runs out of the house and yells, "It's Friday the 14th, part 7, the new blood."
Yeah. No. A calendar says October, and then it has a giant 13 on it. So it doesn't even say Friday the 13th. It could be Thursday the 13th. I'm going to pull up a calendar and see.
I mean, Dad's drunk, so he's probably, he's in his Friday bourbon or whatever.
Yeah.
I told you not to stop me from drinking my Friday night bourbon. That's a
Friday night.
Yeah, exactly. Tina runs away from the house, gets in a little boat. Unless you wanted to add more to that, Jason.
I have something to add to that.
Whoa.
How does she know how to boat? I still can't stop thinking about it. How does she know how to get into a boat and drive it? I don't know.
You want to hear?
Too little.
I knew how to do that when I was that little.
Do you want to hear something
to be fair, I've never gone camping in my life, and I have no outdoor skills, so maybe that's.
She literally lives next to a lake. I think she would know how to do it.
Okay, you know what? Thank you for answering my question, Stephen. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's safe to assume she probably has been in that boat before. She probably goes into the boat every time Dad gets a little too slap happy. You know what I'm saying?
Slap happy is such a way to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to point out that in October 1988, it was actually Thursday the 13th, like now. But then I realized the movie probably takes place in 1988. But also, didn't they age up. What's his face?
Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah, they aged him up in the last movie, so now it's like the
But also-
90s.
But also Tina in this scene is a child, and then the
Is
next
a child.
she's like I don't know, like 18, 19, 20.
Yeah.
Not sure how
But
old
she's a child in like the Tommy Jarvis's older universe, and then they age her up even more. So it's like the year 2000 in this movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2008 is so 2008.
Okay,
Oh my
well,
God. It's
I'm
Yeah.
into
2000.
Lululand, don't mind me.
that's great. Yeah, no, I didn't have anything else to add though, so continue.
Yeah, I feel like you obsess over the dates of these movies every time we talk about them.
Because it's
you
just-
can't
it's-
think about it. You're not allowed to think about it anymore.
I thought I was hitting on something by being like, was there in October in 1988? But then I realized that if he's
We
probably-
love numbers and history, both of those things.
yes,
This movie takes place in the year 2032. Jason Voorhees
It looks like it.
car. Yeah, she gets in a hovercraft on the lake.
Jason X is actually just like appropriate for the era that it came out in.
Yeah, Dr. Cruz drives like a rusty old Cybertruck. It's like decades old at this point.
Okay.
And it's so poorly built that it rusted like crazy. Like it's just pure rust. So yeah, she gets in the boat, and then Dad comes out and he runs to the end of the dock, and he's saying, "I'm sorry, Tina, I didn't mean to do it. It was an
Please,
accident."
baby, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
He's like, "You slapped Mom again." And I'm like, "Again? How many times does he
Again.
do this? He
Mhm.
deserves to die." And then she kills him with her psychokinesis, I think is what they call it in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
Something
telekinesis. But
weird.
she's
Yeah.
using it. But they call it psychokinesis to make it sound spookier, I guess.
Yeah, I think they just want her to feel really bad about it. They're like,
Yeah.
"You're crazy," by the way.
the
You're like,
doctor,
"All right."
once we meet him, he does not stop calling her delusional the entire movie. And
Full
she's not. by
delulu.
the way. Yeah. But
He's
he says
close.
it over and over and over, and he screams at her. I'm like, who hired this doctor, and why do they allow him to be so mean to her?
I'm
all
also
part of
kind of
therapy.
shocked that she wasn't like up for a lobotomy. Like in the olden times that weren't that long ago, maybe could have happened.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and she seems like she would probably be into it because she's like, I don't like
like,
living this way anymore.
This is really horrible. Just make it stop.
Yeah, I keep igniting things on fire.
This whole movie does the trope of a person with powers that are, it seems like pretty easy to harness, but she just can't harness them and doesn't want to learn it, but like needs to use them at the right
It's
time.
like the opposite of a Jedi, where like a
Yeah.
Jedi has to like clear their mind and have patience and serenity and like has to
Just
have
to carry
calm
rage
to
powers.
like lift the X-wing out of the swamps of Dagobah. But then she's like, she has to be at the peak of like mental fragility, where she has to be like going insane in order to hover a TV through the air or whatever.
For me, it was giving like Alphaba in Wicked. It's like just get really mad about somebody being a bully to someone else, and then you're like,
True.
telekinesis.
Yeah.
I watched
I mean,
Wicked
yeah.
today, literally, and it's
We need to talk after this. We
Never
need to talk.
Good. Like any rendition of it. Never read the book, never seen the play, never done none of it.
I
But
saw
I mean,
Dude, I think
I
you
am,
would love it. We
last
should get together and watch
but
it.
I do love Wizard of Oz. Like it's one of my, just like the universe in general. Like we did Return to Oz on the show a couple of years ago, and that's one of my favorite movies of all time. The Wizard of Oz, I mean, it's good. Obviously, it's great. It's one of the greats. But I'm not popping on Oz.
I was thinking about that today, and
No.
much like this movie, to kind of like when this movie came out, people were like, "Oh my god, some of the effects in this are pinnacle, they're peak." When Wizard of Oz came out, obviously nobody had seen anything like that before, and the new Wizard of Oz, the special effects are pretty incredible in that. And someday people are going to be like, "Whatever, the special effects of this Wicked movie blow."
Oh, it happens all the time. Like literally
Yeah.
every 5 years, people are like, "Whoa, it's cool," and then they're like, "Meh."
Looks like shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I'd like to see it.
You should get
But
together and
anyway.
watch it, and I promise I will not sing the whole time.
Okay.
Do you know
will
what's
refrain.
funny? This is a horrible take, and I love musical theater. I'll preface by saying that if they just got rid of all the songs, they could have fit it all into one movie.
No, I like the two-parter. I like the two-parter because I know how Act 2 goes, and I feel like we need.
It's going to be a completely different
separate.
thing, but it feels like they get stretch it a little bit. Because
Yeah.
I remember from seeing it in the theater, they just boom, 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 one thing to the next. Because there's anyway,
But
that's
you
a
get
different
like really
thing.
quick like set changes and stuff. Theater to
Yeah.
film. There's like the media of it. Yeah. Anyway.
Steve's
Now we're
slowly
talking about
frowning.
Wicked the 13th.
No, I'm not.
Um,
I just don't. I
Wicked-
don't have anything to add to this conversation.
Wicked the 13th, the New Blood. That's
Yeah.
going to be the name of Wicked Chapter 2.
mm.
Right. So Tina's next. We fast forward to Tina being an adult after she murders
Yeah, it's
her own
revealed that she's
father.
dreaming about this murder that she did. I guess it's more like manslaughter because she didn't do it on purpose, but she
Didn't
did.
mean to.
She had intent. She right before she kills him, she says, "I want you to die."
In court,
Yeah.
her like the defense would be like, and I rest my case.
Yeah.
It was intent.
I mean,
Manslaughter
"I wish
charge.
you were dead" right before he died. But
That's fact.
We were
baby.
also joking about how when they show Jason, it seems like the movies is taking place like a couple days later because he still has gloves on. When we see him again in a few minutes, his gloves are gone and he's more rotted out.
Been eaten by fish, I assume. It's like leather or whatever, right?
Very
The fish product.
skeletal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he looks really good in this movie.
I love this.
I also don't think that we said how her dad dies. She uses
Did we
her
not?
mind power. No, I think we just said he died. Yeah, she uses her mind powers to collapse the dock, and then all the dock bits, like I guess, land on him and kill him. He doesn't.
Also,
look,
he did not try to escape that bridge in any capacity. He
Yeah, I
could've
remember
ran
you
back.
pointed that out.
Also, the
Just
accident
run to
very-
us.
The accident looked very survivable, like in every way.
Yeah.
There's so many bits in there that you're like, that wouldn't kill you. Like I could
Literally
survive.
on a
this.
bridge, being like, ah.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't
I'm
even
like,
know if I would
run.
be injured from this. Like it doesn't even look like you got a little bit hurt.
Just
But
like maybe
yeah.
like a tiny boo boo on your knee,
Yes.
and then you put a band-aid
Maybe
on
she
it.
also held him underwater. That's my theory for that. She held him
okay,
underwater.
You solved it. You case closed.
There we
Yeah.
go.
That's my case. Yeah.
Where's my case?
Yeah, that's my case on that. Right. So she wakes up. Oh, interesting. Do you know what's funny about according to my notes, Dr. Cruz is Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's. I have to look this up. Holy
What?
shit.
No, it's true. Yeah. 'Cause
Oh.
I have his IMDb open right now and it's showing. I'm like, why is it showing a Weekend at Bernie's clip? I'm like, oh, he's Bernie.
I
That's
see
why.
it now. I actually fully see that.
Just
Yeah,
put a
he-
mustache on him.
Yeah.
He plays a corpse for an entire film.
So did
Some
Daniel
good
Radcliffe
corpse
though in
acting.
Swiss Army Man, and it was a good time.
But I don't think Bernie ever like talks, right? Daniel Radcliffe is like talking and shit in that movie. isn't
He's
he?
alive at the beginning before he dies. Like they're at a party and he like overdoses or something. And the cocaine is like a joke many times in that movie. I think he dies at the party and then they need to like get his money, the two bumbling idiots. So you do hear him talk a bit,
Okay.
but then for the rest of the movie, he's just like,
Yeah. I just
that's
meant,
more
like,
the second one.
Swiss Army Man, it's like he's hallucinating that he's still conscious or whatever, even though he
It's
knows he's dead,
so
but he's
fun.
like talking to him the whole time. The movie's good,
Yeah.
but also really disturbing.
Yeah.
By the end, you're like, this is really fucked up. Oh, a fucked up movie.
But also weirdly heartwarming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Like
definitely.
bittersweet, makes you think about a lot of things. It's a good time.
So they are taking Tina back to their home where she murdered her father.
Oh,
I
she went to the hospital for a bit. She's out of the hospital, just like Tommy.
yeah,
Just came out of the hospital, going back.
but I assume they don't live in that house anymore. Just based on the state it's in, it's like got cobwebs. Like it looks like a haunted house when they're
Super
inside.
dusty.
That's
Yeah.
also like, I didn't understand this. Maybe your notes will have something in there, Jason, and I just missed it. But like, it didn't make sense as to why they were back there.
We
Like,
actually talked about this last night a little bit, and I
Did
thought
we?
it
And I
was
missed
kind
it?
of
I assume he's taking her there specifically to make her uncomfortable because he knows.
yeah, like
To, like,
explore
use it.
therapy.
Get
Yeah.
her to perform.
He's like, I can make her really emotionally unstable
Yeah.
if I take her to the place where she murdered her father.
Because it
That
says
seems
here
like a bad doctor that shouldn't have a license.
Oh yeah, this guy just wants to write a book or something. That's what I got.
he
the-
says he wants to help her, but he wants to just exploit her powers. And I think you're right. I think he mentions a book at one point as well.
I don't think he actually specifically says it, but it's just the vibe I got throughout it. Is he's trying to make some bank
filmed
off
all
of,
of her like sessions, right?
yeah. He's trying
Making
to
a
make money
movie.
off of her, or just become famous or something.
Gross.
So during this part of the movie, sort of. There's like a party going on next door. There's a group of classic 80s teens. They're setting up a surprise birthday party for Michael, who has not arrived yet. The cousin of Nick, I believe. We meet Nick.
I
we
don't like that man. Sorry,
he's a
that came out
dirtbag.
very quickly. I don't like him. He's creepy.
He does, of course, become Tina's love interest, and he's the final boy. Spoilers.
I think that Cass over 100 times last night said, "Ew!" Like every
Ew.
time Nick.
Yeah.
Gross. I was like, "Girl, run from him."
Yeah, he is a pervert.
Don't do it. He's so gross.
We meet
Like he's like 40 years old and you're 12. Please stop.
Yeah, stop looking at
which was gross. That like these guys are minimum 20. They're like they might be playing the same age, but she looks younger, so she might actually only be 12, just played by a 17 or 18-year-old. It's hard to say.
think just for the sake of sanity, let's just say she's probably 18 to 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't want to have
we
to also go through that shit in my mind when I'm thinking about all this other crazy stuff that's happening in this movie.
That's fair.
We meet the snotty Melissa, who immediately sees Tina as competition, and we meet a range of slasher fodder. I'll say I have their names listed later, but
they had names?
Yeah, I don't even care.
Yeah. The stoner couple, the nerd, the sex obsessed guy who is like the military guy, I think, and the shy girl.
The stoner guy is the sex. Or he's not. I mean, they're all sex obsessed. That's not really a character trait of anybody. They're all trying to fuck each other.
Right.
There is, I think, like a whole scene where all of them in different places are having sex.
Or having sex. Or
so I'm like,
the writer is the nerdy guy who nobody wants to bone, and he gets sad about it or whatever, and opens up he opens up the birthday boy's presents because he's a little
according to the book. Making Friday the 13th, published by Grove Press Citations. This setup mirrors Part 4's Party House group. Producer Barbara Sachs, the producer of this film, wanted a similar vibe, which I think is interesting. Maybe that's what you were honing in on when you were like, this feels like the same producer had their fingerprints on it. I know you said for a Freddy movie, but maybe you were just... I
meant the visual language, not necessarily like the tone.
But we have seen 26 groups of kids get killed by some sort of slasher at this point.
Yes. Yep. And this one is no different. In fact, actually, I guess it is a little bit different because they're following their mathematical equation of kills per screen time.
There's so many villains. So many.
And it happens real quick because we get introduced to our characters and then we cut away to Michael and his girlfriend, who I guess are having car trouble. You don't see a car, you just see them walking through, and he's like, "We're gonna camp here."
Well, we see them for later, abandoned on the side of the road, but we don't see them
at this point, they don't really explain what's going on. You're like, I guess they're walking because their car broke down, but
we're not here for the plot. We're here for the kills.
We're here to see them get killed, and then we all made our prediction of how they're gonna die. And I was like,
she's gonna get decapitation.
I was like, she's gonna get stabbed through the neck or the forehead, I think is what my predictions were. And it ended up being the neck.
And I did say that was cheating because you have seen this movie before, even though it was forever ago.
And my defense was I watched it like over 10 years ago, and every single Jason movie has the same fucking shit in it. So it like
that's fair. They get confusing.
I'm like, based on where we are here, her proximity to the tree, I'm like, she's probably gonna be pinned to the tree, maybe.
Nice.
And it's a fun game to play when you watch these movies. Like, guess what's gonna happen. But then there's parts
you could bet on it. Like, you could make good money.
I'm like, when he shows up with that like crazy weed whacker looking thing, you hear like a chainsaw noise, and you're like, does he have a chainsaw? Is Texas Chainsaw Massacre gonna sue somebody? And then he cuts to him just using the weirdest looking tool you've ever seen. I'm like, what is that even used for? I assume for like, I don't know, like taking down like baby trees. It looks like a giant weed whacker, so I would assume it would just be used the same way.
Yeah, with like a saw blade.
Poor baby trees.
Yeah.
I like there was a cool special effect that they did. It looks cheap now, but I thought that it was effective when Dr. Cruz is trying to like trauma dump on her to get her to like she remembers like everything happening pretty much in real time, and he puts a matchbook on the table and it stop motions across the table and then bursts into flames. I thought that was pretty cool.
See, like you guys both said, is that stop frame, and I'm like, I'm not sure if it was. Like
It was giving that, like, at least the first shot of it, like, kind of gave
Yeah.
stop motion, and
To
then
me, it
it
looked-
looked like on a string for the rest of the shot.
For me, I'm like, did they just use a magnet? Like I thought it was just a magnet.
Oh yeah.
That's
Oh,
why it
could
would have
be.
that jitteriness to it, because like a magnet will sometimes like stick.
Yeah.
So that's what I was
Okay.
thinking. But I thought about it again on the boat today. I'm like, I wonder if that was stop frame, because it did look stop frame E. But I'm also like, but why would they do that when they could just use a magnet? Like it would be so much cheaper. In their
Well,
$2
I don't know.
million
Maybe magnets are expensive.
Yeah, in 1988, magnet prices were fucking
Well,
skyrocketing.
Through the
that
roof.
level of magnet, the super magnet that can go through a whole table.
Mm.
Yeah.
Would be.
Who knows?
So there was this whole sequence with the therapy session that kind of goes wrong, and that ends up with her being on the dock where her dad died, and she has like a bit of like an emotional surge that ends up.
I think it's called
Jason
trauma.
Voorhees. Yeah. She has PTSD that brings Jason Voorhees back from the watery grave. And he's like, I've always said that his monster type is zombie, but he is like Walking Dead, rotting for 10 years zombie at this point. Like his whole back is exposed.
I mean,
And
he starts as
inflates.
mutant, but yeah, he turns into like a Frankenstein, and then now he's just like full zombie mode. Yeah.
And he like
And he is
reinflates
giving
like he
very
did in the
good
last movie.
back acting, or I call backting.
Backting.
He
I
was
called it
very
back
good
knee.
at it. Backing.
Back knee.
Back knee
Yeah,
is
I remember
flaring
that now.
Yeah, and Kane Hodder does like a lot of really good, interesting movement in this. It's like
Yeah.
the other
The
movie,
physicality was awesome.
Yeah, there's no real cohesion between the movies of like Jason's performance, because it's been different people so many different times. But this is the one that I think I like the best, because it has like this weird intent to it, and like he does.
You
this,
compared him to
Sorry?
an ape. You compare him to an ape at one point, I think, kind of like a monkey.
He does sort of
I
have
think
like he has sort of like that like wide gait that like a gorilla has or something. Yeah. And just the way he does like this breathing motion, but it's like, is he breathing? I guess he breathes because he like but I don't know. Like he doesn't.
It was like slouched Viking for me.
No, I was about to say like I guess he doesn't need to breathe, and I'm like, oh yeah, he spent 10 years under fucking water. He definitely doesn't need to breathe.
Nah. Then that means he actually does just make the sounds for fun, because he doesn't need to breathe.
See, I've always thought that was in his head. I've never thought it would, like, it's like his internal monologue is just that.
No, I want it to be out loud. I think that's funny.
Well, now that half of his jaw is exposed, you kept being like he's making that sound from his exposed jaw on the side.
Yeah.
Which is, I like that personally.
Mm.
Oh, fun fact, according to a book, I think, called Crystal Lake Memories, possibly a movie, Kane Hodder performed the underwater stunt himself. He was actually underwater for over 2 minutes in freezing cold conditions.
Oh, I hate that. Good for him, but I hate that.
That's how you accidentally kill somebody.
Yeah. Because the budget was $2 million, so they definitely didn't really have the right safety.
Crystal Lake
people.
Memories is the movie I was talking about, actually.
Is the movie you were talking about? Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I recommend it to anybody out there that likes the franchise and wants to learn a lot, because it's good, but it is also 6 hours and 40 minutes long.
That's the definitive one. You want the abridged version.
No. You want the
Well,
6
it's
hours.
just the behind the scenes for all of the movies. I feel like that time-wise makes sense.
You want the one that's the length of a standard work day in most places, like with the lunch break removed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I want the TikTok version of it. I want 15 seconds. Give me all the information you can.
I'm on track to get my TikTok account banned. I'm trying really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I saw a video of Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I said, "Can somebody please run her over with a car?" I think I said bus.
Banned. Yeah.
Is that the one you sent me that I can't even describe what the video is because it uses a particular word?
Yes, it is. Don't repeat the words.
I won't.
Oh, yes. Yes, it is.
It's quite
weird.
weird.
Either one of us. So we have this thing now where Cass added me and Steve last night, so now I'm worried that Steve will send me something that has already been sent to Cass or vice versa. So you guys might be getting
Send
doubled
it
up
my
for a while.
way. That's fine.
Yeah,
it happens all the time with you and Cam.
That's true. I believe that. If you want to subscribe to Important Influencer, I'll send you all the best TikToks.
It's usually just a wall of text with Jason going like this in the background. And I'm like, I can't read this. I'm not reading this. Too much words.
Reading is hard.
Yeah, it's my subscribe to my zine. Tina also does she does like a psychic thing to a picture of her dad, and the doctor gets pissed off about that.
Yeah,
and then
says, rest my case.
I rest my case.
That's his catchphrase in the movie. He actually only says it once. We just decided that he says it at the end of every scene now.
Also, did he actually say it?
He says it after the matchbook.
I can't tell if we made it up or not.
No, he says it after the matchbook explodes. He goes, I rest my case.
We made up that he says it 400 times in the movie.
Yeah, I just feel like by the end of the movie and us hanging out, it just felt like it was our narrative at that point. It didn't exist before us.
Collectively,
shared hallucination.
I rest my case.
The first kill, Steve had alluded to it here a minute ago, but basically there's a couple just setting up in the woods. Oh no, sorry, this is the guy coming for his birthday, right?
Yes.
Michael.
He goes to take a whiz, and then she gets
stabbed through the neck.
He gets stabbed through the neck with a
and he gets the tent spike.
Tent spike,
yeah.
Which is basically just like a 2 foot long piece of like metal with a
big sharp thing.
Yeah. He uses them as throwing knives in this, which I liked. And it's kind of an interesting tool that he uses up until he eventually gets a machete. And then he only uses the machete once, and then he just goes through his crazy arsenal of weapons until the end of the movie.
Also, he literally gets a machete in his next kill. So I'm like, crazy.
Yeah.
He's doing a video game thing in this, kind of like the Jason game where you have like a wheel of weapons, right? Or in a Grand Theft Auto game, even like you have your wheel of weapons, and he's just able to like pull them out. It also seems like he can start teleporting now. He could do it in the last movie, I think. But in this one, he's everywhere.
It's never really like specifically said in the movies that he's teleporting. It's just like the speed at which he moves and the distance that he travels doesn't make any sense. So it's like in the video game, they're like, well, let's just make him fucking teleport. He's magic. He can turn into mist or something.
Weeping angels when you look away and then they'll move real fast.
It's like that. But yeah, it's fun. There's no weapon wheel in the Jason game, unfortunately. You just get one weapon, but you do get to choose between a whole bunch of different ones.
Right. And you can pick stuff up too, right?
Jason can't, but
the kids can.
Other characters can, yeah.
Wait, is the weed whacker one of the options?
No, it should be though.
Because that would be my main.
There's like a machete, obviously, and then there's like a shovel and a pitchfork and head shears, and I think one is just like a fence spike. You know, he gets this fence spike in him in the last movie to come alive.
Those are all really solid options, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and then there's like a Savini skin that they added, which is like designed by Tom Savini, and he basically just looks like a demon, and he has like a weird sort of like weapon, but I don't know what it is. Anyway, Jason, it was a fun game. Jason told me last night that it's dead forever now. It made me really sad.
Jason is never dead forever. I don't know if you've watched these movies, but I've seen 2, and I'm pretty sure that can't be possible.
If they can figure out the licensing, they can turn the game back on. I'm pretty sure.
Because of that pervert who has the rights to the first movie.
Yeah. Also, Jason growls now. He used to be pretty silent, and now he definitely makes some sort of noise. It's like a grrr.
Yeah. Just running after people. Grrr. Very intimidating.
I don't like that.
Yeah. Steve said the kills, stab. So
how does he die again? He just gets stabbed with the spike, right?
Yeah. It's full stab.
He grabs her by the face and stabs her in the neck, I think.
He pins her
that one felt more personal. Michael's was just like, oh, you're here.
Yeah. And then his body is found by pretty much everybody at different points in the movie. He's just like weirdly propped up in a tree.
Jason's just carrying him around. Like
also, when Nick sees him, he's like, Michael, but like his back is to him. Like, how'd you know it was Michael?
He's wearing all khaki. That's what Michael wears.
Yeah, Michael is fucking famous for his khaki.
They go back to the house. There's just the teens. The Friday the 13th movies love doing this, where it's just teens interacting and nothing's really happening. To this point, I haven't really gotten a grasp on what it is, other than like, this is the part of the movie where you make out with your girlfriend or date at the
I thought you were
drive-in.
gonna say cousin. Just the I think it's because of Michael and Nick in my head. I was like,
This is the part of the movie where you make out with your cousin. I am not going to say anything further about that.
Listen, it's just another trope, you know,
Yeah.
making out with your cousin, teenagers
Friday the
talking about
13th
nonsense and then
movie,
getting
you know.
killed.
They got Jason in a lake and they got cousins kissing. How it goes down in these flicks.
I blame my cat.
But it also seems like Tina has like some sort of premonition ability, because she has a premonition of the kill we just saw. We posited it could be happening at the same time, but she can also see the past. I mean, that's just your memory. But she sees her mom die in the future at one point too.
Yeah, she sees the future and she sees events that have already occurred, but she wasn't there to witness them, obviously, so it's not her memory, but it's like she's seeing stuff. But yeah, never really explained. I assume it's just like, yeah, she's got the ability to float shit with her mind, so don't question it. And I'm like, I'm not questioning it, movie. Jeez, sit down.
Also,
please.
I feel like
Put the knife away.
if she ever did get to a point in her life where she figured out her powers, she figured out how to use them, that would actually end up being the most frustrating part. I don't know. Where, get off my lap. I love you so much. Get off of that. What the fuck was I saying? Oh, yeah. That would be the most frustrating part, would be like, okay, I can use this telekinesis now and I can like see things, but then I don't know if they're happening now. I don't know if they're happening in the future. It's like a That's So Raven moment where you're like, can I change fate? Who knows? That would drive me nuts.
Well, she does. I think she tries to change fate with her mom later. And at this point, she walks by and sees the spike like jammed into the like the balcony support beam.
Yeah, by the
she
house
tries
hose.
to tell them. Yeah, she tries to tell them. When they go back outside, it's just not there, but there is a hole there. And we're going, where'd the hole come from?
Do we entirely skip over her resurrecting Jason? I think we did.
No, we talked about it.
We talked about it.
We just briefly touched. We can go back. He did like fully break out of chains, and like it was very.
She goes out there and she's trying to resurrect her father, or like at least she's thinking heavily about her father, not knowing that there's another corpse in this lake. But also, are we to assume that his corpse is in there? I don't know. You would think the police would remove his body from the lake, but in doing so, wouldn't they accidentally find Jason? I guess not really. That's a pretty murky lake, but. Not when the bridge is collapsing. It's clearly like a soundstage pool or whatever. But yeah, she thinks she's using her powers on the lake, and she wakes him up. I guess he's sleeping. He's just having a long nap. And
same. That's me, honestly, today. So.
Yeah. And she snaps the chain, and he floats to the surface, and she gets a good look at him, and she's terrified, understandably, because he is a weird, gross zombie with a hockey mask on his face. And then that's when he starts to go on his murder spree. But the spike, she goes in and she tries to convince Mom and Dr. Cruz that, I found, come on, look at this.
I'm not crazy. It's there.
But I think I called this as well, because I was like, did he take it, or did you say she took it? One of you guys said like, oh, maybe she took it and she's
the doctor did.
And then I was like, or he took it. He just says he wants to keep making her think she's crazier.
This is when I brought up
the good gaslighting.
That was a good point. At that point when we were talking about when the movie was on, but also I feel like in this one, Jason's doing a little bit of the Chucky thing, where Chucky will kill somebody and then make it look like you're crazy for thinking the person got killed, or you're crazy for thinking a doll did it.
All about the mind games, right? Like,
but it's kind of unclear. But I like
Jason didn't do that. The doctor did it, because you find out later that the doctor did take the spike and has it hidden in his desk. So it's not Jason making her feel crazy. It's her therapist who makes her feel crazier than because she's not crazy at all. That's the crazy part, is she's not crazy. She's just been.
That man is not licensed. He can't be. There's no way.
Yeah. Actually, the next part of my my AI notes are Dr. Cruz gaslights Tina, blaming her for the vision she's having of Jason. It's revealed that Cruz is manipulating her powers for his own gain, and he hides evidence of Jason's presence to keep her in therapy. So Steve called that one. Ew.
Ew.
I gotta tell you, he's cruising for a bruising.
Ew.
You don't like that?
Ew.
No, I don't like the men in this movie. You're
No,
doing
I-
great.
I kind of wanted to kick the shit out of Dr. Cruz this entire movie.
Yeah.
And I don't think he got brutally murdered enough.
But we also didn't see the cut where maybe he did.
Maybe he did. Maybe his head got cut open.
I'll have to rewatch it with the cut.
My brain isn't working. I just said maybe he got his head cut open.
Yeah.
That's so
maybe.
stupid. That's such a stupid thing to say. Why would I say that?
It's okay. We're in Lululand together, Steven. It's
I
fine.
got dissed by my phone today because I went on this long rant to Chris about the Trivial Debates episode I'm going to be on in a couple of weeks for Reboot. And you guys should check in and watch it. It's going to be cool. But I went on a big rant, and then I was going to say, what a crazy thing. And then my phone auto-filled it to, what a crazy thing to say. Like, I was like, my phone is telling me that the thing I just said is crazy.
Yeah, you got
Fuck
called
you,
out.
phone. Yeah, my phone was telling me to calm down. Anyway, that happened to me today.
Yeah.
So he takes this bike and hides it.
Yeah. So this is where my notes get a little bit weird, even with having the on-track notes, because the AI just lists all the kills. The next thing is the random couple that's just introduced. I guess their names are Sandra and Russell.
This is when I'm like, the
Oh.
algorithm. Yeah.
Yes.
This is when I'm like, the mathematical equation is happening. You can tell because not enough time has passed that we need to get another kill, but we don't want to kill off any of our characters yet because then everybody will panic. So let's introduce a random couple just camping in the woods.
Yeah.
Just
And kill
vibing.
it.
And this
And
is
you know what's
the
funny?
getting a machete and sleeping bag moment. Yes.
Yes.
I
This
think?
is.
Yeah.
And there's it was either this scene. There's two scenes with a tent. I think it was this one. The tent size keeps changing because I guess they shot it a couple times. So the inside and outside of the tent keeps changing
Oh, yeah,
during
it's like
either
one of
the
those
Also,
Harry
like, get
Potter.
the whole camera crew inside a tiny little tent. They're
Yeah.
like, that's not gonna fly.
but sometimes
Yeah.
it's one camera looking into a tent.
Yeah. It's like the tent from Harry Potter where you go inside and it's a giant home inside of it or whatever.
It's bigger on the inside.
It's bigger on the inside. It's got a slide in it.
Or
Um,
the Doctor Who
Mm.
Tesseract. Nope.
What did you
TARDIS.
say?
I said
Tesseract.
the Tesseract.
I mean,
That's what
Tesseract
it is
also
now.
like an infinite like thing that holds like infinite space or whatever, so it still kind of works. Anyway,
Anywho.
so we get our kill that we've all been waiting for 7 movies. Jason got really excited and stood up and started running around the room and said, "I can't believe they fucking did it! They did it!"
I have video footage. I'm gonna post it later.
Do it.
But
Do it. I dare you.
It is one of the famous, most famous kills of the Jason franchise. So fun that they did it again in Jason X, which we will one day. do on the
According
podcast.
According to Entertainment Weekly in 2017, the infamous sleeping bag kill became a fan favorite. Kane Hodder has said it's his personal favorite Jason kill.
I mean, I think it's up there for me too. It's really good.
It's so creative. Like
and
it's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's also like brutally efficient, you know, where you're like, clean kill, Jason. Like it. One smack,
Ew.
dead. Yeah.
He bends somebody backwards in, I think, Freddy versus Jason. He like bends
sounds
them
fun.
backwards to kill them, and I like that. But hitting just against a tree is effective.
The
I
one in
think.
Jason
Also, the
X,
sound effect was good.
yeah. The one in Jason X is crazy. Like he
Like bashes her against a tree a few times,
over and
right?
over and over and
Yeah.
over. And to the point that it like cuts to other characters like sneaking up past him, and he's still
They're
like,
"Ugh."
like it's pretty funny actually.
Even Jason liked doing it the first time. He was like, I need to
Yeah.
do that again. That was thrilling.
This one's my favorite.
Yeah.
And then I think is this where the boyfriend just gets punched through?
He gets punched through
Yeah.
the back of his head or the back of his neck or just like
No,
back.
I thought it was like his
Yes.
chest.
Yeah.
yeah,
like
through
around,
the
like,
back.
Yeah.
He does the thing
But
where he
also
walks
notably-
up to like he sneaks up behind him with
Like a
his hand
Scooby
out
Doo
there.
villain. He's
Yeah,
like
and
creeping.
just-
like this.
Bam. It's very funny.
Also, notably, he gets the machete. The guy's
Mhm.
cutting firewood with a machete, and we all went, "Oh,
Ooh,
I know what that's gonna be. It's gonna be his
it's gonna
weapon.
be used once.
Yeah.
yeah."
Didn't see that coming. I thought he was gonna do way more. Also, he doesn't use a weapon to kill either of these two, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
He uses his bare hands.
Mhm.
There are a couple weirdo kills in this movie, but like some of them are good, I guess. But I think that we're all probably going to agree by the end of this discussion that the sleeping bag was the best one in the whole movie.
I think it's the best of the whole franchise.
I'll be surprised if we don't.
Chef's finger.
Yeah. And then we cut back to what? Just the party house again?
Well, yeah, the party. We're introduced now to two.
Did we
new
talk
characters.
about how the fucking Pearls is just being such a stupid, evil?
Oh, she's so mean.
And
I mentioned that
so
she was.
She gets
during
the
that
dummy,
sequence.
She gets the writer to like pull. It's not even really a prank. It's just like a mean thing to do to somebody. Where
it's a mean joke.
She takes his jacket and puts it on him like a straight jacket and gives like,
"Isn't this the kind of jacket you wear?"
And then Tina runs away.
And also, she like tries to. Tina tries to strangle her with her mind powers, with her own pearl necklace that her daddy gave her because she's such a good daughter or something. That's weird. I don't like that vibe. But yeah, she's like full, just like chokes by the pearls, and then they go everywhere.
Pearls everywhere. It's a real Gotham City moment. We all were like, "Oh
my
no!"
pearls.
Yeah. And
I have my notes basically say introduction to two new characters. Nick talks to Tina about himself. He goes to night school, so he's got to be out of high school.
I don't like him. Sorry.
Melissa is looking for them, and then Tina tells her story about it. Steve yells trans flag at a rainbow, but no.
Actually
no, I didn't. I yelled woke.
Woke.
I stood up and I pointed at the rainbow and I yelled woke at the movie because I thought it'd be a funny joke. And it
was good.
You guys both laughed. But then there's a tea towel hanging underneath the
looks like
rainbow that sort of vaguely looked like the colors of a trans flag, and I went, "And a trans flag!"
I will say that one was a little bit more vague, but I did give it to you in the moment because we were on a roll.
It was all about it was about the energy that I was bringing to the joke.
Yeah.
Screaming at a TV. Which is what I imagine. What I imagine people saw that Little Mermaid trailer for the first time. A lot of people did that, right? They stood up and screamed at their computer or whatever.
Wow.
Stupid fucking idiots.
Our energy last night compared to our energy tonight is like night and day.
Opposite, yeah, because I was fueled by a liter and a half of wine.
I'm feeling it.
We just all seem stoned, is how I've been sort of reading this.
That's just my eyes are just tired. Okay.
Yeah,
tired eyes.
Tina is now being stalked by Melissa or maybe Jason.
Oh my god, this is the goofiest part too, where she's hiding, like terribly hiding behind a tree in like the brightest blue clothing you've ever seen, like in contrast to the muddy brown of like the fall forest or whatever. It's just like, you're not hidden, lady. With your
would make it terrible as that then.
Yeah.
We find out that the nerdy girl likes the stoner. That's kind of inconsequential. I thought it was going to be more of a thing, but she.
I mean, it's pretty consequential. There are some major consequences to that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. You already kind of talked about this scene where Tina uses her psychic powers to break the necklace because they're making fun of her for the mental hospital thing, which you kind of touched on.
Honestly, deserved. That girlie deserved like a little bit of like a hey, don't be mean. Just don't do that.
Yeah, I feel like everybody in there should have told her to cool it.
Yeah.
Well, she's losing her mind and she throws a TV across the room with her psychic powers.
Yeah, but that's later. And also, like at that point, so many bad things have happened. Like a TV throw makes sense.
No, that's what I have next in my regular notes.
Yeah, because she goes back there and then he tries to like he goes into like an impromptu session. She does a couple of crazy.
Does she throw a TV twice?
No, but she throws a
no. Somebody gets thrown into it. She gets thrown into a TV when she dies.
That's it.
She's thrown over a TV. It would have been better if she
one of those floor models.
It's all blending. And then Tina starts singing Cuban Pete, and then
and
great mascot. It's all
Krueger
like
starts
remixed.
making earthquakes happen, and
Jason keeps yelling "smoking" over and over again.
No, I keep yelling already then.
Alrighty then. Which also different movie anyway.
So I didn't know Melissa's name yet, and I just kept calling her Nipple Blonde at this point in my notes because I think she had pokies at one point.
I called her Pearl Girl.
Pearl Girl.
I think I called her a bitch like 14 times.
Yeah, that was your nickname from the beginning.
It was just out loud to us.
Well, right away, I'm like, oh, she's going to be the bitch, right? And then it's
Yeah.
like, yep.
It was
immediately.
correct. Called it.
Yeah.
But Melissa and let's see, I guess Eddie? No. They go
doesn't
skinny
matter.
dipping.
It
It doesn't
really doesn't
matter.
matter.
It doesn't matter. They go skinny dipping.
Just
I
call
like
him
the skinny
Dennis
dipping
Reynolds or
part.
whatever. We're talking about Dennis, right? Dennis Reynolds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, with
They
the
wrote Glenn
blue
Howerton.
golfy kind of sweater tied at the shoulders. I remember.
That's right.
Yeah, and then
I think they were supposed to be the sex pot couple in my original when I was reading through the other notes. But they're all sex pots.
Yeah, everybody has premarital sex. But yeah, he's paired with the other blonde girl who's like, she just seems very vapid and stupid. Like there's a moment where like they're having sex in a van and he's like, why aren't we doing it in the house? And then she's like, she thinks really hard for a comeback and she's like,
Full pause.
Leaving. And you're like, took her that long to think of that? Gee whiz. And then the funniest moment, I think me and Cass just like cracked up. Where she's trying to deliver a line as she's coming out of the water, and she's like, like she chokes on the water.
Fully choked. She was like, "Come in, the water's fine." You're like, "What? Do another take." That was good.
You could have just done a second take there, lady.
Well, we can't afford more tape for this because we're burning daylight and
only 20 mil.
No, that'll do. That'll do. And she gets drowned, I guess. She just gets drowned.
She gets drowned, but this is worth noting because it has a hilariously disproportionate nude scene to it, where it's like an underwater shot of like full frontal nudity. It was very bizarre to see.
I mean, you can't really see anything. It's very dark, but it's also like, was this necessary? I don't think it was.
They wanted to get their jaws shot. And I mean, they did, but it doesn't feel sort of like pervy, you know. It is a full nudity, but like, yeah,
it's not ultra pervy, no.
This is probably one of the least offensive when it comes to like the gratuitous nature of nudity in Friday the 13th movies, where it's all just kind of like it exists, but it's not overly sexualized.
They always go swimming in the daytime and skinny dipping in the daytime in the older ones, which felt very exploitative.
The old ones are horny and gross.
Like yes. That's one of them, my point. That's what I'm trying to say.
One of them was literally directed by a pornographer. This is how horny these movies are. But the last one and this one are pretty all right when it comes to not making you feel icky when you're watching it. Which I appreciate. Yeah. You know, I don't feel like any of these people in this movie, but throw me a dong every once in a while. God, throw me a fucking butt.
Equality. That's all I want.
Can't they get a man butt? Yeah. But no.
Oh my God, did we even get a man butt?
No.
I don't think so.
That's ridiculous.
Should have got at least one. But, you know, we can always dream. I want to direct a Jason movie one day, and it's just all dicks and asses. That's it. No tits or nothing.
Tim's just doing Mystery Science Theater at his place right now to our show as it's live.
And then Dennis Reynolds gets axed in the face. Jason says, "Can I ask you a question?" Yeah, in the face,
and she just fucking drowns.
She immediately screams. Like she pops up and she processes it so fast to the point that I'm like, "Oh, you get that line out quickly, but you couldn't think of the other line. You just seem like your brain isn't working."
Mm-hmm.
To the point that she sees it and screams so quickly that I'm like, "You wouldn't process it that fast. Your mind."
If you were actually seeing horror, it would take a second to sink in.
Yeah. But this movie is so tight, they don't have time. They don't have time for that. No. Scream, die. Mm-hmm. And then Jason, one thing that I kind of like is that he's collecting all the bodies in one spot, which is kind of funny. Yeah. It reminds me of like a Hitman video game or something where you have like a closet that's just full of security guards, like piling up.
It's like his toy chest, just like in the woods, being like, "Ooh."
Yeah, and then
the climax of every Michael Myers movie has all the killed people that are falling out of trees and out of cupboards, and
he uses Dennis Reynolds' body multiple times because Dennis Reynolds falls out of a tree more than once. So Jason goes back and
resets it for the next person.
Yeah. This one's pretty.
He's like giggling to himself.
Yeah.
This whole time.
He's like, I mean, this one's the grossest one. Yeah. It's funny. It's funny.
So
scary.
Here. He's here. Nick is being hit
Always
on
is.
by the blonde.
Pearl girl, yeah.
Hey, can you just say their character description? Don't say names. I'm not gonna know who the fuck you're talking about. Writer?
Nick,
Is he the writer?
no, the writer.
The one in the
guy
army
is-
jacket.
Yes,
We got Pearl girl. We got Dennis. No,
Dennis Reynolds, yeah.
that's the only one that
the
gets a
writer
name.
here. I wrote that the writer is like tied up in streamers here.
He is, yeah. He says, and King Tut rises from his tomb. And I'm like,
Right.
King Tut was like 12. Why would you be
He
He
scared of
didn't
a
read that
12-year-old
far.
mummy? Yeah.
He didn't
doesn't
get
know.
there.
He only knows one
Maybe-
mummy.
Maybe Nick is the stoner.
I don't know. If
Okay.
you're talking about the stoner, then sure.
I thought the stoner was the guy that looked like Drake Bell.
They all
Yeah.
all of them, the characters have like generic white man names. Like it's
Yeah.
like Brad, Dave,
Mark,
Steve,
Nick.
Michael, Mark. Like, okay.
Mm.
So yeah, you need to give me like either what they're wearing or their weird character trope. Like the writer is a weirdo who just loves science fiction, I guess, is like his whole deal, and wears military clothing for some reason. I'm like, it's clearly not in the military, right? Like he's wearing like stuff you buy from like a surplus store. like it's bordering on stolen valor or whatever that shit's called.
Yeah.
But these types of characters are supposed to be endearing and like a character that you can either connect to or feel some sort of empathy for. But he's so annoying that I don't feel anything for him except contempt. I'm like, fuck.
Honestly, the
think you have-
majority of these characters were annoying, but like that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And then the ones
think
that
you have
aren't
to
are
make
just
this
nothing
shirt,
characters.
Steve.
There's like nothing. Sorry?
I think you have to make this shirt.
Oh, throw me a dong on a t-shirt.
Sorry. Sorry to interrupt you for
Dong
that.
every once in a while. But yeah, like like the nerdy girl, like her thing is that like her character is just that she wears glasses, like big glasses. Like there's nothing
Mhm.
else really
Hey.
about her. I'm not saying
right
that
here.
about you.
Hey.
I'm saying that about her. And then she's in love with the stoner character, who is, I mean, he's not hot, but he's just like, there's nothing about him that's interesting. He's just high all the time. That's his whole thing. He's like he's hungry and horny. Those are his two
But he-
character tropes.
He wants to like go after pearls.
Mhm.
No.
So
I think honestly, you might want to go after anything.
Does he? I feel like nobody wants to go after pearls. Like,
He's
that's
really
bad.
trying the whole time.
yeah.
The
like-
writer is though, isn't he? I don't fucking know.
Well, the writer ends up with Pearl in the bed, and she's like, "Haha, fooled you."
Well,
I
because
just
she's trying to
wanted
get
see."
Nick to be jealous or whatever, and that's
Exactly.
and it's not working. Nick is
That's
like,
her
no,
ultimate goal.
you're mean. You're a mean, ugly person. I don't want to ever put my wiener near
Mhm.
you.
So
Yeah.
That's what you think. You do. You
if we
do.
go,
I'm like, fuck you, fuck
Yeah.
you, Pearl.
if we go back over to Tina's mom, she goes into the office and
Tina!
she's in there. She's looking around trying to find evidence. Dr. Cruz finds a dead body and one of those tent.
Once again, tells
stakes.
no one. Yeah, he finds a bloody tent spike. And at this point, we don't know that he's got one in the desk, but then it cuts back to mom who
The mom
finds
finds
in
it.
the
Yeah, she does.
And starts playing like the tapes of her daughter's like therapy sessions, and she's like, "Wait, you're being really mean to my daughter and making her freak out. You're a bad man."
But like has she not heard him absolutely losing his shit on her like the entire weekend?
She's like,
also
"Well,
he's-
hearing it is different than seeing it, you know. Like, did
He's
it
also done it in
happen?"
front of her multiple times. Just
Yeah,
be
she
"You're
was like, "The
delusional, you
doctor's doing
psychopath."
his work."
Yeah.
She
This is what
she
doctors
doesn't
do,
know.
Tina, just listen to the doctor.
Yeah, mom is she's not happy and she wants to go. So she's like, "We're leaving in the morning." I'm like, "Leave now."
Leave now.
Yeah.
This is the time actually to get out.
Tina finds them arguing, and this is where she has that like premonition of the mom getting killed by Jason.
No, she does that when she's driving.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
she literally just sees that she saw that earlier. Now she literally just sees that happening.
No.
She like passes by the abandoned car of Michael and girlfriend. I don't know if she has a name. And then
crashed
she
the car.
has a vision of her mother dying, which makes her crash the car. And she's like, "Wow,
Right.
my mom!" And then
And that's when we were all like,
Gosh.
I was like, looks like a shark fin coming out of her chest.
Yeah.
We were all trying to figure out what the fuck it was. And then later is when we see it and we were still like, still don't know what the fuck that thing
a
is.
lacrosse blade, I think, was one of the guesses.
I said it's a field hockey axe.
Yeah.
So Nerd Girl is now hot. She's stumbling around in the dark though. She just goes outside and
A
stumbles.
sad moment where we're like,
I
oh,
like her. She was
'Cause we're
getting
like-
like a full character moment. She was like, I'm gonna go look so cute, and all my friends are gonna be like, wow, we do notice you.
yeah. And
Uh-uh.
then no one sees her makeup. And me and Cass were both very upset. We're like, she spent so much time putting her makeup on and no one saw it before she died.
And she put on heels, and then she had to run through the forest. And I'm like, oh my god, did being hot kill you? Is this
Yes.
a message that's really
And
deep?
these are the repercussions that we were talking about earlier, Jason, where you're like, no repercussions. I'm like, no, total repercussions. Her falling in love with the guy is the reason she went up and put up all those fucking makeup on and the reason that she got
So
killed.
bad.
It's
She
true.
wouldn't have died had she not been in love with a doofus who not worth the time.
Didn't care. Also,
Yeah.
I don't think at all.
This guy went to go get a snack and he just grabbed a full block of cheese and was like, I'm just gonna nibble on this block of cheese like an animal.
Also, almost like slipped on a bunch of blood doing it and was like, "That's not a big deal. I'm
Yeah.
hungry."
Didn't even
Okay.
stop.
No.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
just walked right through it.
Mm.
She ends up in a barn, which I feel like is paying homage to all the barn stuff that happens in other movies. Jason grabs her through a wall, which I thought
I think
was
it's
pretty
just
great.
like it's just established that there is a barn there from the other movies. They're like, might as well put them in the barn again.
Is that the same barn?
It's not. It doesn't look the same, but I think it's supposed to be the same.
It's
'cause
supposed to be like the
same-
barn that's
It's the same
across the-
area, so I'm like,
yeah.
unless this lake just has an abundance of barns around it.
Well, the two houses are definitely the two houses, the Jarvis house and the one next
But
to
even
it.
the Jarvis house doesn't look like the Jarvis house from the movie with when he's a kid. Like it
That's right,
nothing looks
yeah.
nothing like it, and it's they're not really concerned about the continuity, but I do believe it's supposed to be the Jarvis house.
So I think he like stabs her. He puts two hands through and grabs her, and then also has a hook and stabs her with like a
It's like
A
a,
wheat
scythe
hook?
or something,
a
yeah.
s- yes, handheld scythe.
Or a sickle, I guess.
For like
Sickle.
cutting down, like wheat
Yeah.
and stuff. Yeah,
Thank you.
poor thing.
Yeah, she's toast though.
Mhm.
Tragic death. Tina and Nick
Is
find each
sickle-
other.
Is sickle my favorite word?
Yes.
I love
You're
the
a
word
sickle freak.
It's sort of a fun word to say. I like the way it feels in my mouth. I like the way it sounds in my ears.
Sickle pervert.
Yeah.
And the mom and Cruz
Is this
find
when
the
we
car.
like they like? Have we gotten to like all of the different teens just like having sex in different rooms? Am I
think
skipping
this
something?
is
I'm
happening
trying my
right-
best to write down notes.
That is sort
Yeah,
of
I'm-
happening right after this. Is like,
Yeah, so
Okay,
so
got it.
the mom and Cruz find the car. Tina and
And
Nick
this-
find each other out in the woods simultaneously to that, and then over to the stoner and the blonde, the other couple's having sex, and
they're all having sex. There's the two in the van, there's two in a bed, and then there's the stoner and Grin. I'm gonna call her Grin because she's always got a big grin on her face.
and
That
then we
makes
were
sense.
dissing each other a lot too in the riffing. I'm not going to repeat any of this line here.
That's classified.
move-
Pretty sure that's classified.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a classified.
It's a
I'll just
redacted
say that
statement.
the black couple is targeted next. Because
What? Now it sounds like we were saying racist things, which we absolutely were not, Jason. You can't say that and then say that right afterwards, you sickle fuck.
I'm a sickle fuck. Jason squeezes his head off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
The-
does.
and then
That's
the
one of
eye
the moves
thing.
from the game. Yeah, and then
And
yeah,
she takes a horn to the
But
head.
he has one. He has one of those like
Someone else-
weird sort of like noise makers where it's like a spinning
Yeah.
thing inside, like. Woo!
Woo, 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 woo.
I was hoping because he stabs her in the eye with it, and I was hoping that
Yeah.
the noise would come out. Like, but
Stab
no,
in the sinus so it makes noise. Yeah.
once again, cuts away so quickly. We barely even get to see the noisemaker in her face before you're like, wait, what happened? Oh, gone.
Aw.
We're done. Yeah, it's over now.
We need to rewatch it with a
Uh,
different cut. That's what I'm saying. I want the details.
Yeah,
The
I want to find the
the bl-
extended version of this movie because I'm sure it'll be more entertaining.
Yeah.
The blonde turns down the boy. Now I wrote military guys. I think it was the writer character who
I think
was in
that's
bed
the
with her,
same
not
guy.
stoner.
Oh, I do also want
Oh.
to mention that that one shirt that the woman who gets the noisemaker through the eye love that shirt. That yellow shirt she's wearing. I'm like, I want that
Oh,
shirt.
she had like the Dorothy vibe. It was like the yellow
Yeah.
shirt and like the blue overalls. It was really cute.
Yeah.
That's funny you say that because
Fashion.
the guy that she was with, he had on that shirt from the early 90s and the late 80s that is like turquoise, green, and white that everybody
Oh, yeah.
had. I had it as a
Classic.
kid, and my dad also had it. And
Sure I had
Looks
that.
like the
Peter Parker
reusable
wears.
cups.
Yeah, I think Peter Parker wears it most of the time in the animated series from the 90s as well.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
try to say it last night, and I was like, "This isn't gonna." They're gonna be like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah,
but I'm glad that you related to
shush
it.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, shut up.
As we're
Here,
both we're both crying about the girl not getting to see her makeup getting seen by everybody, and you're like,
Yeah.
I held that shirt in the 90s.
She's like holding
Shut up,
hands.
Jason,
and
this isn't
weeping.
about you.
This is definitive. The stoner is with the like redhead, and they're both baked out of their fucking mind.
Yes.
In the van, and the stuff that
bedroom. I think in bedroom because that's when he goes down to the kitchen to get snacky cheese.
Yes.
Right?
No. Yep. You're right. You're right.
He's so stoned he can't stand, and she's so stoned that she can't stop saying, "I'm so stoned." That's how
Yeah,
stoned
and then laughing.
Yeah.
Always.
And being amazed by light, like a flashlight, is the most fascinating thing she's ever seen. She's like, whoa, shit.
Yeah, because Jason pulls the power. Yeah, you're right.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
And
we
I
were
was like,
looking at that and we were like, "Is that the water line or is that the power?" It's like,
yeah, it looks like one of those
lightning
hydro
powers.
things.
He's got it either way.
I used to drink from the lightning hose when I was a kid. You millennials don't know.
That's why I am the way I am because I drank
Yeah.
from the lightning house.
Yeah, the boomers bragging about drinking from a hose. I'm like, that's
Back
probably
in
where all the
my
lead.
day.
Yeah, that's where all the lead poisoning came from with your lead hoses or whatever. You sick fucks.
The
You
house
sickle
hose.
fucks. Yeah. Just taking a sip off the old house hose.
And
Very
Nick and
bad.
Tina find Michael, his dead body strewn up in a
Yeah.
tree.
My
That's what
cousin
you were
always
saying
wears
earlier. It's
khaki.
like, how do you
It's
know?
definitely him.
Yeah.
Do 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 do. I have Cuban Pete stuck in my head now.
Sorry. We'll have a dance off at the end of the episode where we all just like throw it on and party out.
Yeah, so this is like the part of the movie where it's just kill after kill after kill, which every Jason movie has.
Jason enters the room. I think it's Stoner and Redhead. He's sliding around, and this is just me writing notes, but like not doing them like coherently. So he's sliding around, and the music goes insane, and Jason just stabs him with a knife. I think is when he goes to get the cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that the one that we were like, that doesn't feel like a Jason moment? It was just
Yes.
That's the one where he just stabs him.
He just stabs him with
Like
a
Michael
regular
Myers.
knife. Like it's just like a kitchen knife. And you're like,
He had the machete. What was he doing?
yeah, at least do something crazy like put a balloon over his head and suffocate him or something, you know? Something
Cut off his head, put the head in the freezer. Fun. That's
There you go.
something.
Now you're thinking. But I guess they do decapitate the other guy, the writer.
That's true. But then he becomes the pothead, which is very funny. We'll talk about it later.
Yes.
I have notes.
Which is weird because wouldn't it make more sense for it to be the stoner that gets the pothead joke? Or maybe it was him.
I thought it was his head. Was it not?
No, because the writer.
No,
yeah, because the writer doesn't get his head cut off because he's just dead underneath the table. So it is his head. So that was the joke. That was the joke. We thought we were being funny, but the movie.
They were being funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure.
Tim, we're gonna make you do the MPAA game every time you're on, and also you have to do a solo dance off every single time, and also you're the guest every week from now on. So
Interpretive dance to like a poetry written and spoken by Stephen.
Yes.
Yeah.
No music involved, just spoken word.
Love that.
Yeah. Torture.
Tina finds some Camp Crystal like news articles, and she has a bit of a psychic break.
And Nick sees it for the first time in like real life, right? He's like, "Whoa, powers!"
Yeah.
So military.
Once again, I predicted what the movie was going to be, and I'm like, he's going to say something dumb like, "Is that coming from you?" And then immediately he's like,
next
"That's
line.
you." It's close enough.
That you?
Yeah.
Well, we paused it here. Military. I call them Military Jones at this point. He's not dead.
Not
He's
yet.
sitting on the couch with a bunch of the gifts that are meant for
the
cousin.
Just
No, I'm
opening
just
someone
saying
else's
later.
Speculating on
present.
what that thing was.
Yeah, we were
The
trying
red
to guess what
arrow thing.
So I think it was. I looked at it again. I think it was one of those like party like
Oh yeah.
whistle thingies, but then behind it was a bow, like a sparkly bow, and then together in the one shot where they were trying to line
right.
up properly, it
Yeah.
looked like an arrow.
I forgot. I was like, "What are you guys fucking talking about?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." Jason went to the bathroom, and me and Cass were like, "What the fuck is that?" We're trying to
Hyper
figure out
focused
what's
on it
in what-
for too long.
Yeah, for however long it takes someone to go to take a whiz.
Yeah.
And then
We were
Steve
like-
goes, "What do you think he's opening in that box there?" And I'm like, "Obviously, it's a box of chocolates." Cass, I forgot.
We all made multiple guesses.
We went back and forth. I said like fuzzy pink handcuffs, and
Yes,
then
right.
I had made like 3 guesses, and
You
one of them
did.
was right.
and one of them was right.
Technically,
I was like, it's gonna be
Cut-
a yeah. I mean, I was thinking like it's gonna be a joke gift, like a penis enlargement pump from like Austin Powers or something,
And
then
something
Cass-
definitely from like a sex shop that they were like tee hee hee, like a joke
Yeah.
sex shop that they
like
were
a
like,
dildo
oh,
or something, and
Yeah.
then
it was a penis enlarger. But what was inside the box?
it was a magnifying glass.
womp womp womp. Yeah, exactly.
Around his chapters are closed, but he's just ever present.
And then the
Mhm.
next gift was just a boob mug. It was a mug
Yeah.
that was shaped
That
like
he's
a single
so
boob.
fascinated by.
It's because he wants to touch a boob and he's not allowed to.
He just did like 2 seconds ago.
He was
Didn't
trying
he?
to, and she was like, "I don't want to touch you or your
Oh, that's
gross
fair.
penis."
Yeah.
And then he has
Didn't
to
even
look at it
shower.
through the magnifying glass, and he's like, "Oh
Yeah.
no!"
I was like, it'll be funny if it cuts back to him and he's literally looking at his teeny weeny with his magnifying glass. But instead, he's fully just horning it out over a boob mug. Look at this
Yeah.
boob mug.
As
He's
he did.
really interested in it.
Yeah. At first, we're like, is that like a milk saucer thing or whatever they're called for like tea, and the milk comes out of the
Drink
nipple?
out of the nip.
We had to go back. We had to go back and be like, "What
and we're like,
is that?"
okay, we're gonna go one frame at a time here. And then he just again gets a boring death. He just
Yeah, Jason's skulking around in the house. It keeps just going back to Jason walking around corners,
yeah.
which also pretty
It
boring.
seems Michael
like,
Myers. Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here? Where's the crossover?
Yeah.
he has his machete back for this kill. He slices his neck, and the redhead goes looking because I don't know. This is so fucking weird. She finds a massive joint.
Yeah.
So big. It's
Oh
like,
wait, I
tell
forgot
me when
about
to
the
stop.
Remember the cat? The fucking
Never
cat?
forget the cat in the closet.
Opens
It
the
is noted
closet.
down.
It's crazy because it's locked in the closet. This is the uncle's
For how
house.
long?
This cat has never been introduced until this moment. So I'm like, was the cat just locked in there the whole time? And like, did the uncle do this? Is it the cat from outside that somehow got in there? Is it his cat? Because doesn't she say
But
like that Richard doesn't have a cat? Or like I feel like she says something like that. Oh,
My theory
Maybe.
is that the cat came in from the roof into the closet and was stuck there. So I'm glad that the cat was found. That's my theory.
okay.
My theory is that the
Do you have any
cat
evidence to
actually
support this
came
theory?
out of the closet, but the closet was attached to Wonderland, and it was a warning
Oh,
from
it's
a different
Cheshire cat.
universe, being like,
The Cheshire
"There are
cat.
jump scares about. Be careful."
Right.
I like that.
My
That's
theory
my
is they
guess.
wanted to have a jump scare, and they had a cat, so they're like, let's put the cat in the closet.
They used Dennis's body coming down from the tree too many times, and they were
Yeah,
like,
we can't do
"Gotta
another
get a new
body.
one."
We'll throw a
Yeah.
fucking cat in here. There's been no cat established in all the footage we've done. Who gives a shit? True. Throw a cat in there. Let's go.
Nobody's paying. They're at the drive-in jerking each other off in their cars right now. They're not watching this movie full on.
Put a cat in, they will pay attention
Yeah,
immediately.
they'll be jump
And
scared.
thankfully,
Whoa.
Cat was okay from my understanding.
Yeah,
It was a
just
good
Both
actor.
being
It
in
was a
the
good
closet
actor.
seemed like Cat was fine, and then nothing bad happened to the cat. So I'm
Right.
like, all right.
We were also
Give a
trying
cat a
to be
cuddle.
like, who does this woman look like? This girl. Like, we're like, she looks like somebody. And then we really started like,
It's like a bunch of actors mixed together.
I said Will from Will and Grace. I'm like, she looks
Yeah.
like Will from Will and Grace.
Oh,
Can't remember who I said, but then I remember you talking about one of the puppets from
Oh, yes.
Labyrinth.
Dark Crystal.
Dark Crystal. That was the one that got the laugh. I was like, Will
I
and Grace
said-
didn't get that big a laugh, did I?
I was saying Steven Tyler. at that time too.
And then I said she looks like.
I was giving like almost like a Angelina Brad baby.
Yeah,
Right.
I can see that as well. She
That
finds
was
the
most
head.
fun we had the whole time.
She finds the decapitated head in this room of, I guess, the stoner we've established, or still don't fully know.
It's the stoner,
right.
because there's no one
And
else.
Jason just walks in and picks her up and fucking drops her out the window. Just
throws her out a window, and we're all like, "You wouldn't
Should have
die from
survived
that." I feel like you wouldn't even get hurt from it.
Like broken bone, maybe, but also just the way she felt. Like if she had landed, I was saying this, she had landed like on her feet.
Neck.
Like I could imagine like ankle break and then up to like maybe like a knee, like shin splint moment. But
she should have landed on a fence.
Yeah, the way she fell, it was so gentle, and I was like, "Nah, you're fine. Just go."
Rocked her head on something, like something that would make us be like, "Oh, she's dead," or question if she's alive or not. But we were all like, "She's not dead, is she?" Like,
where's the blood puddle? I don't see it.
Yeah. Oh, I have to sneeze.
Nick rushes in, but it cuts to Jason now stalking the mom and Dr. Cruz, and this is where the mom gets killed by the.
Sorry.
You got blue nose.
Now I'm gonna be angry for the rest of the episode.
I was gonna say bless you before you sneezed, and I really held it in because I didn't want that to happen to you.
So many people.
This is bad luck for.
It's infuriating because I'm like, you ruined
bad luck for
it.
Steve. It's bad luck for us. It's bad luck for everybody watching.
Mm-hmm. That's why I didn't do it. Can't curse another episode in a row, you know.
Yeah, I'm already full of curses.
Yeah.
Back to so yeah, she gets the weapon. It looks like a halberd or like a fell or like some sort of lacrosse stick. That's a blade.
Lacrosse blade.
Yeah. I think you're right, Jason. It's probably used for like cutting thin branches from
cutting branches. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Or like bamboo or something. Like I feel like I've seen that like used for that.
Why would you? But like, there's no bamboo in this Crystal Lake forest.
I don't know where Jason got it. I am just saying that that's
no
what it looks
Crystal
like.
Lake is not in China. Okay,
right?
It could
that's
be.
True.
Could be.
I can tell you though. I looked up more production notes, and this movie was filmed in Alabama. So
Alabama. Fun.
Is there bamboo in Alabama?
I haven't checked.
Yeah. There's nothing stronger than Alabama bamboo. Alabama bamboo.
Alabama bamboo.
Alabama bamboo sounds like a bounty hunter from like a weird like post-apocalyptic movie or something.
It sounds like a character that should have been in Tropic Thunder.
Like,
are you having a stroke
from New York or something? Yeah. You can't be here. This is Alabama bamboo's territory.
Yeah.
It goes
back.
to
Created a new character. Is that the T-shirt? Alabama bamboo.
I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah,
it has to be a panda, like looking really dope.
Or it's just a man who paints himself to look like a panda.
So it's either throw me a dong or Alabama bamboo this week.
Or it could be Alabama bamboo with a word bubble saying "throw me a dong."
Combine.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Back over to Nick. He finds the military man, and Nick now just has a gun. That's never established in the movie. He's just like, I've got a gun now.
No, it is. She literally says, my father used to keep a pistol in his desk, and then they go and get the pistol from the desk.
Oh, I forgot about that. And that was the scene that you were like, this gives like Nightmare Freddy vibes, the way it was shot and the contrasting of the lighting and everything.
It's a little overshadowed by her crazy psychic explosion that she does. And he's like, "You're doing this? Holy moly!" He doesn't talk like this, but I like to imagine it makes the movie more entertaining.
I actually would have found him less creepy if he did that.
Yeah.
That would have been okay with me. And be back on his side.
Whoa.
Wowee.
Zowie over here. I'm going to night school to get my diploma.
Drive my Tesla. They find the blonde. Michael and Eddie are dead. Those are just two dudes. Cruz finds Tina. This is that part where they're just like finding each other dead, and then Jason stalks Cruz with a weed whacker nightmare thing, choke slams him, and then weed whacks his guts.
Really can't get over the like sound cue of the almost chainsaw weed whacker, but then the like chase happens and you don't hear the weed whacker for a second, and then he turns it back on to do the kill. And I was
Jason
like,
turned it off.
running out of gas. He's like, I gotta conserve it. Like, I gotta make sure I can actually get the kill off. I mean,
They also did
technically, he
the-
probably just could have stabbed it through him if it really ran out. But
Yeah. It's one of those things where you're like, is this the most advanced device that Jason has used in a movie?
He built it himself, clearly.
Yeah, he's got a laboratory under the barn.
They also do the 3D movie thing where they keep showing shots of him coming at the camera with it.
I
Yeah.
love
A
that.
big
It was kind
moment.
of giving like that in Rocky Horror with like Frankenfurter and like in Opportunity Bless My Soul, and he's like coming for the camera and it's like that kind of close up. Feels fun. Very
Yeah.
campy.
Patient. Yeah.
Exactly.
I forget what we
Tina
were talking
finds all the
about.
murders.
This movie.
Not
Tina finds all the murders, final girl style.
Jason's
Uh,
collection yet.
She
Oh,
uses
and
a
then
tree.
she like they have this whole like showdown where she goes like full Carrie and Jason gets like maybe dead, but not.
She starts using her telekinetic. Yeah, so she like makes him get knocked over.
She does a
with
whole bunch of
tree.
shit.
It was
She,
like an Evil Dead moment, like you said
Here, I'll
last
walk you
night,
through everything
Steven.
that happens. They run
Yeah,
upstairs. Then Jason follows them. Then she swings a light into his face and he falls through the stairs.
No, this is before that. This is when she's.
This
got
is
the big
before the
puddle.
final showdown.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
the
the puddle,
puddle
the
part.
electric. There was like the Evil Dead tree that like binded him, and then there was a puddle, and it was like the electric wires, and they like snaked through, and then he fell and got electrocuted. Little did she know, lightning doesn't affect him. Clearly, it only makes him more powerful.
That's what brought him to life in the first place.
Yeah.
Lightning strike. And you can't drown him, clearly, in a puddle. You kidding me? You can't even drown him if you put him under a lake for 10 years.
But maybe throw him down the stairs. It might do the trick.
Yeah, that seemed to be more effective than electrocuting it. I do like the electrical effect in this. I think it's campy and
Very
dated.
Ghostbusters-y.
It's very, it looks fun. It's the kind of electricity that I like seeing in old movies like this.
I love that
Feel
effect. I love
nostalgic.
that electrical effect in all movies from 70s up to the early 90s because they pretty much use the same effect. Do you have any insight on how they create that? Is it drawn in somehow?
I
or-
believe it's like you cut like out of the film, or this is how they used to do it, so that light comes through. But I don't know. I don't know if that was still. I feel like they would have had a different way of doing it. But yeah, you can also paint onto the film itself. There's lots of ways you can do it, but I'm not sure how they would have done it in this movie. I'm sure there was some sort of easier way by now. What
just
year is this?
CGI.
88. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have CGI really yet in that.
I'm sure they were getting there though. They were on their way. Because I think the first like real true CGI stuff started coming out close to this,
like right around this time.
Remember the Labyrinth, the beginning of the Labyrinth, where they had the full CG owl? That was close. Yeah. And then George Lucas went crazy and started wild.
What if everything, even stuff that we already did practical, is now CGI? I'm gonna go back and put some.
It's like getting a new toy, right? You're like, what can I do with it? And then it's going to be everything.
I'm gonna make the Ewoks blink. What if Jar Jar was a Force ghost? What if Jar Jar was, but he was there in the original?
Is he also Kermit the Frog? I'm very confused, but
That's
I
how
really.
Have you ever heard George Lucas
sounds
laugh?
like when he talks.
I actually don't think I have.
He just does a little chuckle.
That's cool. I like it.
Anyway, and then there's the full house fight, which is pretty fun. I like.
Do you remember what happens before the house fight? Though there's one more great Jason moment. He
The
comes
Kool-Aid Man?
running full bore, at the window and jumps like action leaps through.
Yeah,
a
I was like
window,
body
shattering
through the
it.
window. I think I yelled body through the window because just the way the framing was. I'm like body through the window because he does it so often. But then no,
Then it was his body through the
His
window.
body, yeah. He leaps through it too, like Spider-Man.
I feel like he had like kind of like an arm up. I need to rewatch the
Yeah,
scene,
he
but
was
I was
like
like,
a
it was giving
full
like a Super
Spider-Man.
Mario,
It was-
like
yeah.
Yahoo! Like it was getting like a mushroom,
Yeah.
like through the wall. It was very fun. Honestly, his physical acting in this is really, really good. This actor really crushed.
And then
I
she
see
does
why
the
it's
dumbest
one of
thing,
the
which is
favorite movies.
close the sliding doors and then put a fucking table in front of it like it's gonna stop the doors from opening. I'm like, that.
I could see Jason's eyes like rolling, being like,
His one
okay, move the table, open it up. Boo.
I'm brainless, but not that brainless.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
Watch me jump through this window.
like, it's just an
Smash, smash, smash. Oh, he's sighing, exasperated.
Yeah. And then this is when it gets crazy. They run upstairs.
Yes,
Jason follows them. She smashes a light in his face, and then he falls through the stairs. And then they go down the stairs, and then he pops out of the little closet attached to the stairs.
Isn't
And
this
then-
also where Pearl Girl dies?
Yes.
Like
She
Jason
goes-
throws the pot head, the
Yeah.
flower pot that has the guy pothead's head on it, throws it, and then before this Pearl Girl was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's like not a big deal. You're overreacting," and then she gets murdered.
Axe to the face, and
He says, he
Axe
goes,
to the
"Where are
face.
you going?" And she goes,
Going back to bed. Want to join me?
Yeah.
and then she dies. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, she
Yeah.
goes to open the door, and Jason's just there, which is great.
I'll be right back.
Like, oh shit, I think that
Bye-bye.
they're telling the truth now. Axe to the face, and then thrown across the room.
I just
Jason-
wanted more. I wanted
Yeah.
more.
Jason runs upstairs, gets light bulb in the face, falls through the stairs, pops out of the door next to the stairs. She
It
smashes
was
another.
giving like almost like a old school slapstick kind of vibe with that scene. Like, oh, ow! Like if you put different sound effects over it, you would be like, this is a comedy.
Goofy,
It's amazing.
yeah. And then she smashes another light into his head, but then the wire comes out of the ceiling and strangles him and lifts him up into the air, and he's dangling there for a minute. And then she smashes him through the floor into the basement where he's lying on the ground and is all twisted up. And I'm like, never seen Jason's legs doing that before. They look broken.
Doesn't his mask also get destroyed while he's like up, like being strangled? Is that when
No,
the mask comes off?
He's attacking Ding Dong, whatever his fucking name is. I can't remember his name.
Nick?
Nick, yeah. And then she's tightening the mask on his face. That's when I started yelling, ew.
Oh, because it was like pussy and gross.
Yeah, I was like,
Mm.
ah! And then
I hate pus. I hate pus. I hate pus. I believe
That
was
is
exact
the
quote.
actual quote.
pus is one of those things that is like, even if it's fake in movies, it still grosses me out to a degree that nothing else does. I'm like,
Well,
"Ugh."
me and Cass have the eye thing. So when the girl gets stabbed in the eye with that,
You were like,
that little horn, we're like, ooh, can't deal
See,
with
that
eye
doesn't affect
stuff.
me like pus. Pus makes me go, "Oh, I'm gonna throw up. It's so gross. And then yeah, he gets thrown in the basement, and then she goes down there and shoots a bunch of nails at him, and then sprays him full of gasoline, and then Kevin McAllister's the furnace. or
The
whatever.
furnace. Yeah.
And I feel like this is where the gets louder, like it's the loudest it's ever been. And I'm like, there's no dialogue in any of this fight between Tina, Carrie, and Jason. It's just that sound. I'm like, oh, are you just like communicating telepathically? And that's all the conversation we need in the scene. Like that's
Could
it.
be, she could be in his mind, and she's just hearing that, because we all know that is him saying "kill mother" or whatever, right? Like that's what the noise is.
Is that a
kill
spoiler
mama,
from the
mama.
first one?
It's just like the is the sound engineer going and saying "kill, kill, kill, ma, ma, ma."
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah,
I still haven't
So-
seen I'm jumping in halfway through.
I mean, you unless you knew, like, unless you explicitly were told that, then you might not pick up on it, because it's all muddled and weird on purpose, right?
No,
To be
it's really
scary.
cool. I love that.
So if that's all that's running through his head, it's like that would make sense if she's poking around in his brain. I love pus.
Jail.
That's my cousin Ronan.
Jail
Thanks,
immediately.
bro. Thank you for coming through, buddy.
That's funny.
I read that in his voice too.
Nice.
Dramana.
Yeah, and then the house blows up in the biggest fucking explosion you've ever seen in your entire life. I'm like,
There's
someone
a
died during that.
couple more things before that. Nick is thrown to the ground. Jason is like has his hand, his neck, his foot firmly on his neck, pushing down. She manages to hang him with a wire.
I already sprinted through all this.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Okay.
you were gone for a second, Jason. We did cover this.
Okay, did you talk about how she pulls down the whole veranda on him?
No, we haven't gotten there yet.
Okay.
That happened earlier. That happens.
Wasn't that
like,
their escape
hand
out of the
over-
house? Oh no, you're totally right.
That's right. She throws the couch at him, and I yelled, "Take a seat!" when it happened. I thought it was great. And then she runs out, and he's standing on the porch, and she brings down the roof on top of him.
Yeah.
And then that's when they go get the gun, and then
Oh, and then Nick is like, "Are you sure?" Like, "Oh, he's dead." And she's like, "Yeah, he's dead." And then Stephen was like, "What? Like he didn't just like stick his hand out of there, like Twitch or something?" And next shot is him just going through the wall, just.
Yeah.
You're like,
See,
got
told
it.
You,
Okay.
told you. I've seen movies.
I told you.
Yeah.
And then the host goes up in flames and explodes for some reason.
It's such a big explosion too. Like,
It's so satisfying though. Like in a movie,
wasn't a
that is
miniature.
so chaotic. That is so
They blew up a
like
house.
fast paced and in your face, and everything's changing all
Yeah.
the time, and none of the characters seem to actually matter. All of this is so in front of your face, and that explosion just really actually took me back. I was like, "Oh, we're watching a movie." Okay,
It's so big that I'm like, they might still die if they were actually on the dock. Like that explosion was so big that their insides would be turned into fucking liquid. But yeah, it didn't look like a miniature. It looked like a full-sized house that they blew the frick up.
It reminded me of the documentary horror movie where they blow up the barn at the end.
Yeah,
but that movie had an even smaller budget than this. But blowing up a full building is awesome. Put that in every movie. Don't CGI.
One of the exorcism movies?
No, it's called Unmasked: The Rise of
Ricky Bobby.
Ricky Leslie.
Haven't seen either. So
yeah. It's good. It's good. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it because I'd never really heard of it before until we covered it on the show, and I was like, I'm surprised that more people haven't recommended this to me over my years of loving movies like this.
Maybe they just thought that you had already seen it. They were like,
I mean, very fair, could be, but it was one of those movies that I'm like, this should have got more movies, or at least sort of like a series where the same concept can be done again and again with different murderers, but even the same murderer would be fun. Anyway, we talk about it all in that episode. If you guys want to go back and check it out, it's a fun app.
So Jason is unmasked for a lot of this, and I have a fun fact from the Crystal Lake Memoirs movie. Jason's unmasked look was modeled after Part 3's version, but with the added rotting flesh and exposed bones. And is that in the Grimoire intro when it shows the close-up of like the zombie face? I think it
is that one.
This, right?
The intro?
The intro to the Grimoire, like the intro movie that we play at the beginning of this, and it shows close-ups of a face, like right here.
Oh no,
that's from this.
That's Freddy.
That's Freddy. Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's from Freddy versus Jason.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, this fucking Jason looked amazing.
Yeah, he looks
I really enjoyed it.
I feel like it's good, but it I don't know. It just kind of reminds me of like every Halloween mask you see when you go into those party stores at Halloween, where I'm like, they all just look gross. But it doesn't look bad.
The only reason it reminds you of that is because these movies came out, and then a bunch of masks were made, and then
that's
a bunch of masks.
I do like his teeth, like his weird gnashy teeth, and he keeps going like, I'm like, oh, gross.
Because his jaw's basically detached because his teeth are like exposed on one side. It's awesome.
Yeah, I did like when you could see his teeth behind his mask too. That was quite cool. And then of course the explosion doesn't kill him. I think we all.
Jason is alive. Nick tries to shoot him.
Which is like crazy to see a man walking out of an explosion like that and then being like, the gun will work. You're like,
I was hoping that like they'd be on the dock and then you'd hear like a flaming mass would land in the lake behind them. And you're like, what the fuck was that? And then Jason's just like,
I honestly, we should do a remake. I think that's the like secondary ending.
Like he just got blasted into space. No, that's Jason X. Is when you get blasted into space.
Haven't gotten there yet. I'm very excited though. I really want to watch that.
It's a fun one. A lot of people hate it, but I enjoy it. And then
Jason, just right quick, what's a Jason 9? because that's Jason X is Jason
That's
10.
not the one where he goes to.
Oh, Jason Goes to Hell is Jason 9. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Manhattan is next. Then we got Goes to Hell, and then Jason
Hell,
X.
and then yeah.
And I mean, in terms of continuity, Jason X obviously takes place in the distant future of 2025. Oh wait.
Oh no.
Yeah. Or wait, no. That's not correct. It takes place further than that. But there's a moment in the movie where they're talking about hockey because his mask, and they're like, "What is he wearing?" It's like it's a hockey mask, and they're like, "What's
From
hockey?"
2025.
Yeah, they're like, "It's a sport that used to be played on Earth before it was banned for being too violent in 2025."
Honestly,
interesting-
the history might be checking out. I'm just throwing that
At this
out.
point,
Maybe
we have this movie and Jason Takes Manhattan, which is 1989, and then the Grimoire
I really want to
is
see that one too.
fully out of the 80s. Well, do you want to? I'll just invite you to come on for.
Maybe
you're
I'm
the
just
new
gonna end up
resident-
being the Jason expert by the end of all of this.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I know it all. I knew nothing.
the
Now I know
resident-
everything.
Friday the 13th specialist now.
Yeah, we call it Resident Evil.
Resident Evil. So Tina summons her father's corpse from the lake. He chains Jason and pulls him underwater again.
Does
So
she?
I had my
survive.
Does she?
Barely.
Yeah, I had my theory last night, which I
Theory, I think.
I was saying earlier, I cannot imagine that they would have left his body in the lake. His body would not be there. So what's actually happening is she's summoning telekinetically the chains to come out of the water to strangle Jason, but she is seeing it as her father come out because she's just imagining it, like it's her mind, right?
And we did establish earlier, girl has trauma and a very bad therapist.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it would kind of make sense she would have the delulu of like, oh, dad, save me. On that note, though, I know she feels like bad or whatever for like killing her dad, but it's also like, I don't love him having a weird hero moment, even if it's not real, even if it's like, it's just vision. I'm like, do you remember that time at the beginning of the movie where he was beating up her mom? Can we like not make him like a symbol of like, yay, save the day?
Yeah,
Complicated.
I don't think that there's anybody that would disagree with you because it is kind of weird.
Like,
but
I get that she's messed up enough, like, and has gone through so much that, like, in her mind could be a hero. Like, it's gotten so twisted. So I can see it in that angle too.
Yeah, I think it's the way I would look at it is like she is in dire need of her father's forgiveness for killing him. That this is the
no closure.
She's getting sort of like a payback moment from him via him saving her, being like, I still love you even though you killed me. But all of us are like, yeah, but you're also a piece of shit who deserved to get crushed by a dock.
But also like
yeah,
consequences for your actions. I don't know.
And also me personally, I would have liked to have seen a floating chain more than this weird ghost show up. But you know, whatever. Take it how you will.
It felt like the plot was really trying to make it a plot, and then I was like, I'm already off the rails. Can you just give me a really solid kill?
The only thing that I can say for certain is that there is no part of me that even remotely believes that that is his corpse that's being reanimated, because why the fuck would they leave his corpse in the fucking lake?
Also, like, no aging. His hair, I'm pretty sure, was dry.
Yeah,
so
he was just dry in general. Yeah.
This is a vision, an image, a delulu, if you will.
It's either a ghost or she's imagining it. Yeah. Like,
do you know what it kind of reminds me of? You know, at the end of a bunch of the Friday the 13th films where, like, Jason will come out of the water and the final girl will witness it, but nobody else will. It kind of reminds me of like that sort of like weird supernatural ending. I think that's the Nightmare on Elm Street's kind of did it as well. You know, like I think it kind of falls in line with that stuff.
I think it's absolutely by design, because so many Jason movies end with Jason popping out of the lake and pulling somebody under, that it's appropriate for, in this movie, someone to pop out of the lake and pull Jason under, and re-chain him up. And this movie on, he's always in the lake, unless you watch Freddy vs. Jason, where they just changed the rules again, which is fine. Jason is one of those things where they changed the rules like in every movie. There's like a new thing, so it's like
a new weapon.
Yeah,
apparently.
New weapon.
And
this one has telekinesis apparently. Old Man Pearson. I was sending Chris a bunch of me doing reboot voices this morning.
Nice.
I got up. I'm 90% sure I was still drunk when I woke up this morning, just yelling into my phone.
Well, you maybe slept for 1 minute knowing you.
I meant to send Chris a voice message and I accidentally FaceTime called him. And I was like, well, hello.
Oh, no, you were still drunk. Got it. Yeah.
Stay tuned for our Grimoire in October, where we're going to technically do 2 Friday the 13th movies, because we're going to do part 8 and Freddy versus Jason, because we're going to be finishing the main line of Freddy tomorrow, next week, actually. So it's going to be interesting to have these conversations then. We'll have Cass on. Maybe we'll have Cass on for Jason Takes Manhattan, and then the next week have Cass back on for Freddy versus Jason, and then I'll run an algorithm and find out who's been on the most Freddy episodes, and then you guys can pin
and
it
then
up.
we do the math and we make it like algorithmed, and then we figure out how many kills we have to do per episode.
Yeah,
we should get on that. We haven't done that yet.
We haven't had a single kill on this show, so
I almost feel like our Freddy episodes have always been a different guest, but different. I'm not 100%.
Well, I think Craig might have done.
I know Orville was on last time for the last Freddy we did. And
Orville and Cass would be a good episode. Craig and Cass would be a good episode.
I'm down to come on with another guest. That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's a
try to get Orville on again before next Halloween. It's like a full year.
Yeah,
we got a lot of movies coming up. It's almost all written out. Anyway, so that's the movie. They leave in the ambulance. Mike, whatever the fuck his name, he lives, even though he almost got his neck completely stomped.
Just call him night school for the rest of this conversation.
old
or pervert.
Night school. We do need to talk about the 3 guys though that bring Tina into the ambulance with thing that clearly has wheels, and they could have rolled it, and they're like, nah. All completely different ages, very different vibes. I don't know how that was cast, but I
2 mullets and a bald.
Those are just what we call Alabama locals. They just put out a casting. They just shouted.
Who's around?
Somebody showed up.
The thing
they live on the property down the street. They're like, hello.
The thing that struck me as odd about that is they technically couldn't have rolled it because it was on like a gravelly kind of hill.
They could have tried.
But they could have, if they had more budget, they could have figured it out to roll her. But they just did it out of necessity, I think. I think that was why.
But if that's the case, take the wheels off.
They probably tried to roll it and kept getting stuck in the mud, and they're like, okay, let's just carry it.
All right, fellas.
We're losing daylight. We have one more day of shooting.
Every day was losing daylight.
It is crazy, though, because one of them is like an elderly man, one of them is sort of like a short, portly man, and then the other one has like a bowl cut haircut.
Blonde mullet thing.
Yeah. Like, what is going on?
I'm like,
how
did he get hired? He's so young to be a paramedic.
This is the Alabama Bamboo Gang.
That's the drawing. That's the inspiration. We found it.
Yeah.
For a normal episode of this show, we're only halfway through. But you know,
I kind of figured this would be a shorter episode, but I'm okay with that because I think we're all pretty tired.
We did this episode.
About the mask next, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, Stanley Epkiss is down on his luck insurance adjuster.
His boss is Mr. Dickey, and his landlord is Mrs. Peeman.
Yes.
Both weird penis sounding names.
Man.
Yeah.
Tina, it's like the same.
What's interesting about this ending is that it's kind of different than the other Friday the 13th because it doesn't give you the jump scare of he's still alive. It seems like Jason is dead forever, so probably name my firstborn son Jason, and it'll work out perfectly for him. And
I think so. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Evil never dies.
Evil never dies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Should we go into our? What do we do now? I forget.
So it's our final thoughts, but it's the Home Alone of it all. Final thoughts and rating.
Okay. I should have thought about this when I was closing my eyes after.
What do you think the Home Alone of it all? When is the Home Alone of it all? Can someone please tell me when the Home Alone? I really gotta know. When is the Home Alone of it all? What is the Home Alone of it all? Now that's the Home Alone of it all.
That's it right there, folks.
If you're new here, You probably aren't. We have a lot of the same retention of viewers and guests these days. But if you are new here, the Home Alone of It All is the idea that in the movie Home Alone, Kevin McAllister slaps down the blueprint. And when I was growing up, I always wanted to see from that point on, and that what made the movie for me. The idea for this show, for Hey, Did You See This One, is that the Home Alone of It All is sort of, it could be like your favorite part of the movie, but it could also be like when the movie sort of kicks up. Sometimes it's just the third act. So, but compartmentalize that. And in addition to that, your final thoughts about the movie, and then like a rating, whether it's out of 5 or out of 10, or if it's a star rating or bags of popcorn. And Cass, you've been here 10 times. You know all of these segments. We've rolled them into one. Why don't you start running them down for us?
Okay. I do all. Okay, yeah. Sure.
Home Alone first, and then final thoughts.
I think it's kind of tricky because I kind of have 2 Home Alone of It All, so I'm just going to pick one of them. I'll pick the earlier one for funsies. Mine would be when Jason does come out of the lake, and you can see like his full like spine just exposed, and it's like just the way that he's walking through the mud towards the house. It feels epic. The actor just really crushed it, and I was like, okay, we're back. I'm down for that. I don't want to give my second one in case it's somebody else's. And then final thoughts, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Final thoughts. This is my second Jason movie that I've ever seen, so I don't have all the context in the world. I had a really good time. Also, like watching this with friends as well. Like it's one of those movies that moves at such a crazy pace that you kind of need to have a bit of fun with it, with people. I think I would have had a very different experience if I watched it on my own. Like I would have had to be like texting people being like, have you seen this movie? Did you see this? That's insane.
Hey, have you seen this one?
Yeah, exactly. Music score, honestly incredible. I really liked it. And I wanted more blood, but that's the cut that I saw. So maybe that's just that. Overall, really liked it. I have some notes, but I don't think the notes matter. So I'm just going to give it like a 5 out of 5 on decapitations. Put them on a spike.
There we go.
That's my rating. I had fun.
For it can go.
Where is my sound effect? Thank you.
I couldn't find it. I have too many sound effects now, and it's just a long list. It's not like I have like a nice setup or anything. Well, my Home Alone of it all is probably going to be when she starts using her powers to fight him. As soon as she throws that chair at him, I'm like, here we go. Now we're cooking with gas. And then she sprays him with gas. Like, yes, more gas. Which crescendos with a house exploding in a giant, I think the biggest explosion we've ever seen in a Friday the 13th movie. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And overall, I don't, it's not my favorite of the ones we've covered, but I definitely had fun and I really enjoyed watching it with you guys. I think that you're right. These movies, or Tim, sorry, I think said in the comment there, that these types of movies, specifically Freddy and Jason and Chucky, they're always more fun when you're watching them with people because you're belly laughing just a little bit harder when you're with other people who are also laughing, instead of just kind of like a jaded chuckle by yourself while you're shoving macaroni and cheese and chicken nuggets in your mouth like a pervert.
We could have done that together as a team too, though. So
that's true.
Get the macaroni trough for watching Friday.
Next time.
Yum, yum. And so I mean, I do recommend it. If you like Jason, you'll like this one. It's fun. It's got a lot of fun stuff, but it does feel sort of like a neutered version of what you're used to in terms of the violence. And if I was to give this movie a rating, well, I mean, what else am I going to give it but a sip off the old house hose, if you know what I'm talking about?
That's the lightning hose. You can't do that. It's bad.
Oh, God.
When I was your age, I was drinking from the lightning hose. Yeah, I mean, Steve took my original Home Alone at all, but I really.
I mean, I didn't know what it was going to be, so I didn't take shit. It's mine.
I
Fight
really
him.
like the. Elbows up, baby. I really like the sequence of just a series of kid kills. Nope, don't say it like that though. Teen kills.
Sir.
Teen kills. They're teenagers.
Drop the macaroni, perverts. It's time to watch a movie.
That's a new catchphrase.
Home Alone of it all. Yeah.
Gather
Love
around,
it.
freaks.
Gather around, freaks. Drop the macaroni, perverts. It's time to watch. I'm gonna write that down so I can say it in the intro next week.
Yep.
But basically the series of kills that happen in like a breakneck, like the whole movie is kind of that. Like every 3.14 seconds, there's a great kill, but they are all sort of neutered by the MPAA. For my final thoughts, it's great seeing this movie do everything from the previous one, only slightly better. The kills are a bit gorier, seeming, not literally physically, like, but they seem a lot like there's more brutal stuff happening. Just
There's like
cuts away from
impact
it.
behind each, like,
Yeah.
even though it's quick because of the cut that we saw, it's still impactful.
The quality seems a bit better, and they have outdone themselves with the plot because the plot really ramps up in this one. They really just added a character with psychedelic abilities, is what I'll call it. A lot of these things could be seen as worse, like all the things I just mentioned could be seen as worse. However, I liked this Jason a lot and hold it up there as a favorite. So I liked all of the things I mentioned. It was also a movie you definitely watch with friends. Myself, Steve, and Cass had an excellent time watching and riffing on it.
It was a good
The last one I gave a 4 out of 5. I give this one a 4.2 out of 5. And I gave this movie smashing a person into a tree one solid time to get the job done right the first time.
Like it.
Wow.
And that's pretty much the show for tonight. Easy night for all of us. It's rough when we had such a good time watching it, but the content of the movie is mostly just a series of kills and a pretty incoherent plot. If I'm being honest,
We're not like deep diving into like the psychology and like all of these things of like characters and writing styles and how things are filmed. It's like, oh, people died. It was fun.
Yeah, I think by the end of the movie, I turned to you guys and I was like, nobody in this movie had any character development, like at all.
Except for the girl, the nerdy girl who almost had character development and could have had a whole moment with her friends.
Almost.
Died too quick.
Yeah. And the movie was like an hour and 27 minutes too, so it's like
that's quick.
Boom, in and out. We did a James Bond month, which all the movies were long, and all of the movies had stuff to talk about in every single scene. So these slashers are like the antithesis of that. I think the only reason last week's episode went long was because we had 2 of our top talkers on,
Yeah, that was
Alex
just
and
a real
Tim.
chat festival.
Yeah.
So
if you weren't at the live show last night when we did a live audio commentary,
You need to
I'm
do
sorry,
it.
I don't know what to tell you.
Get it on mic. It needs to happen.
Yeah, for
'Cause
sure.
we're
I
insane.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you want to talk about our plugs and then
Let's
GTF
take
out
a
of
step
here?
off the old electric hose.
All right, let me just plug this in right here and.
He died.
That's right. He's
It's a good fall sound.
I say that like every week. I don't.
That's
Did you get
good.
that from a stock or did you create that like a crazy Foley artist?
I believe that came from Stephen.
Yeah, he's
Did it with
multi-talented.
my mouth. Yeah.
Yeah. Twist this here and perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry, that blew out the mic in such like a way. And then I was like, yeah, just like that.
Exactly.
Cass, do you have anything to plug? And if you don't have anything to plug, do you have anything you want to shout out? You know,
I don't have anything to plug except I was thinking about this as I finished my final thoughts, and I just want to plug it, I guess, to remind Steven of the moment in this movie where Nick was throwing, or I guess like skipping rocks on the pond, but was really bad at it. And I just needed to bring that back for a moment because I know it annoyed all of us. I think Steven the most. So I'm plugging that.
I was pretty upset. But I also turned it into a bit where I was pretending to be him, and I kept going, I fucking love skipping stones, but he's just hucking them in the river.
Plunk, plunk. I think at one point you were like, is nobody upset with this? Is nobody upset with this?
I'm like, he's throwing flat rocks. They're flat.
It is very upsetting. So that's my plot.
What I imagine is they were like, okay, we'll have them skip stones, but the guy just couldn't fucking do it. So he's like, I'm not doing it. Yeah, I'm just gonna
then cut the scene. Change it to something else.
Why did we collect hundreds of flat stones?
Maybe the director was like, okay, you're going to be skipping stones in this next scene. He's like, I don't fucking know how to do that. I go to night school. I'm like, no, that's your character. He's like, no, I go to night school in real life. I don't.
I'm trying to.
He might as well just slam dunk them. Just like, on. You're like, no.
Yeah.
That's
like
it.
that
That's all
well,
for me.
Cass, last week I did the same thing. I had to say to the boys that I can't invite you back to the Johnny Carson style, invite you back to the couch because you kind of live on the couch with us. But congratulations on 10 episodes. They're our top performing episodes. Our rogues gallery is very deep, and me, Batman, and also Steve, Batman, we have to defeat you guys all simultaneously. So
kill you both, easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Super team up, super team up down the road, maybe. But
I'm very
Steve,
glad you didn't call me Robin. I would have been upset with you.
I would never do that to you. I would call myself Robin before I would call.
I was prepped and ready.
Yeah.
Your face just started going really red. You're like, he's gonna say it.
I was about to be like, this motherfucker about to call me Robin. Fucking bullshit.
That's true. Yeah. Tim actually no, Alex plugged his own playlist because he wants to take the show over, and then Tim plugged Alex's playlist. So you guys, you're all class acts. I love you guys. We'll
work together as a team.
When we do our first ever 24-hour stream, it'll be probably you, the three of you, and Noel. Will be the first ever 6-person 24-hour podcast.
Steven, you're gonna be fine. You sleep for 1 minute a day. We've established.
Yeah, true.
I'm gonna need a month preparation. I'll hibernate and then I'll come in.
I'm sleeping right now.
Yeah. The most docile you've been in months, if I'm being honest.
I wonder why. Maybe it's because I haven't drank like a liter of wine.
Yeah.
on the episode. I'm drinking water.
What do you got cooking? What do you got cooking in your water glass?
Just some water. I am on Darth Theorist and the Three-Eyed Theorist, where I do the narration of stories telling alternative histories of events in Star Wars and Game of Thrones. I also do all the character voices on those. We are slowly growing, and we have been for a while now. And it is sort of slowing down a little bit, but we've still got a consistent growth, which is nice. So I applaud and thank everybody who has been following and watching. It's really gratifying to see people enjoying it, and I enjoy doing it. So check those out if you haven't already. There's a couple of other things that are happening right now, but once I feel a little bit more comfortable about talking about what they are, I will on the show. But keep your ear to the ground for your old pal Steve. I'm hoping that in the next couple of months, things will be a little bit more interesting, if you know what I mean. I'm gonna go on a mass shooting spree. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, Jesus!
We can't do it again, Stephen.
Not again, Steve.
We can't. We learned our lesson.
But other than those two things that I talk about every week, there are some things that are happening that I think are pretty cool and interesting. But we'll talk about those in the future. And that's it for me.
Awesome. That's great. The thing that's awesome too, what you have to realize about Steve is he joined on episode 13. Okay. I've done 175 episodes of this show, but Steve has done 175 minus 13. So
13.
longest reigning,
My
longest
God.
reigning guest. I'm just kidding. You're the co-host as much as I'm a co-host. I just think it's funny to see that we've done 175 episodes of this particular thing for 5 years now, which is just great. I love it. It's my favorite part of my week. I love talking to all my friends about movies, and I couldn't ask for anything more. I could ask for a shorter show most of the time.
I could ask for
But-
$1 million easily.
Yeah. If my plugs this week are that next Friday on March 21st, I am the announcer for Superkick Wrestling here in Toronto. We have a show coming up called I think it's called Come Get Some, because it's last month was Throwdown. This month is Come Get Some. It's, I don't want to say generic, but if you've ever watched wrestling, these are all wrestling terms. You can see me there. The main event I haven't seen what the main event is, but we're going to see Guerrero Siva, the Mexican warrior from Cancun, is going to go up against the 420 champion, the half-baked kid Chris Chambers, which I expect to be an all-timer. I believe Guerrero was trained by Chris, to give you a little bit of inside baseball. So I think it's going to be a good match. In addition, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times what makes a good wrestling match. You can find this show right here on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook every week. We are on track to just do 52 episodes a year. The only time we don't do 52 episodes is if we have a 5 Thursday month. So, it's very rare that we say I can't do it. Me and Steve were talking today. In fact, we've both done this show sick as a dog. So we're here every week, so come check us out. Tonight we had a lot of people come through and watch. I really appreciate everybody that commented, subscribe to our channel, subscribe to our Twitch. And then the last thing that I like to talk about is we have a Redbubble and a TeePublic where Steve does all of the illustrations for. We have a lot of things like written down, ideas based directly off the show. One is, of course, Kill Aid from Cass's episode, right?
I love him so much. He's so cute.
I have him on a t-shirt now. But
And
it's
then
Can I buy that from you, please? I
the
want
t-shirt?
that. Yes.
Well, we have them on the store. You can buy them.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the store.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's
You can
so
get this
cool.
on a shirt too from TeePublic or Redbubble. I'll send you the links after this.
I want a big
Can you not read the
poster of that in
description
my
for our
hallway.
show every week? Come
I
on.
can't read, Jason. It's hard. I worked all day trying to read, and it was too much.
Well, you want a Twinkerbell shirt.
Always and forever.
Twinkerbell is also the starring character of my Friday the 13th script that I'm writing.
Ooh, crossover. I'm into
He uses
it.
his extremely gay magic to fight
Yeah.
Jason. And it's really
I would wear that to
gala
Pride
red.
in a heartbeat.
It's got some
That's
serious gay
beautiful.
energy. I love it. Also, Jason wears the same outfit.
Yeah, I've seen you in that a couple times actually.
No, I meant Jason Voorhees.
Jason Voorhees.
I meant
script.
Jason. Jason.
I know,
Have
but
you
I'm
not
talking
been
about in the script.
Not Jason the 13th, part 7, the
Yeah.
nude Phillips.
We're all wondering, what does Jason Voorhees' nipples look like? I'll tell you.
I am
gotta
wondering
eat my
that,
fish. I gotta eat my fish.
If you like the Zardoz segment of the show, we have a t-shirt you can get based directly off that, where you can ask how, why, who, what occurs.
I
on your
like
own
that
shirt.
on a mug. You should put that on a mug because
It's on
that's
a
me
mug.
in the
You can get it on
morning.
a
I'm
mug.
like, how, why, who, what?
Yeah. You can get it on a mug.
You can get all these things on pretty much anything you can think of, actually, through Redbubble. You can get it on an animal mat. You can get it on a.
You can get it on a freaking mouse pad. Look,
You could get it on a cat. You could get it on a bat.
You can get it on a shower curtain if you'd like.
Yeah, the weirdest option.
This is my shower
That
curtain.
would be
at home.
really funny. It's just
Yeah, Zardoz on your shower.
Actually, I want this as a shower curtain.
Zardoz
Yeah.
is
That's
watching
good.
you shower. Why are you not washing your butt, Jason? Wash your butt.
I only
the
watch my
loofah
butt.
is there.
And coming down the pipe soon, I'm just working out the licensing deal with my co-host. In by that I mean I haven't asked him for the PNG file, or I don't have the file on any computer. But this is coming soon. This is carpal tunnel syndrome. He's a Bond
good.
villain.
Yeah, he's got shovels for hands for
He's gonna
tunneling.
dig through your brains. And as I like to do every single show for no reason, here's a picture of Vanilla Ice's Mark Twain. Can't get this on a shirt, but it definitely exists right now.
If I draw it, we could get it on a shirt.
It's true.
It exists in the moment, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you go and watch, I'm going to also plug this week the movie The Ridiculous Six, which that is from, which I watched literally this weekend. Pretty good Adam Sandler bullshit comedy, but I laughed a lot and was like, this is so dumb. What else is going to happen? And with that, we come to the end of the show. We got one more comment here. Yeah. Hey, did you see this one, the flamethrower? When's that coming down the pipe?
Maybe I'll put Spaceballs on to fall asleep tonight.
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a good one. But there is one more question that needs to be asked each and every week. And Cass, I think you know what to do here after 10 times.
I'm a pro because I know the line is, hey, did you see this one?
Do you guys remember when Jason punched that guy through his back and killed him?
I dream about that every day.
Yeah. And then the guy says, my doctor says I need a back-a-rectomy. And Jason says, all right, here we go.
Jason's like, I am a chiropractor.
I am a back-a-rectomy.
The bacting.
That was awesome. He's he's a real backer.
He needs a BAFTA for that bacting.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mario Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.
Oh, wow.
It's the time before we leave for lesson number 3.
Absolutely. There's no sense in going off half-cocked.